Cody Reed did not know if he was going to race here tonight. Showed up late, missed out on practice, was here for qualifying. They're spinning a record as they cross the line. White flag is out. This race is official. Cody Reed got too big of a gap. Gavin Rogers, Scioli are going to have the run. Ollie Finsick in the 24 as well, going to be right there. Malarkey as well. It is going to be a huge run that this 25 has to hold back. Here we go. Scioli goes high. Rogers falls to the 25. They're both trying to find an opening to get around this. They're on Productions machine. They're 3 wide. Ollie gives the bump to Cody Reed. Reed has the run. They're 3 wide behind. Cody Reed wins. It's go time for Hall. He's got to pass 3 drivers in 1 lap. Will he get by Forbes, or will Forbes block and defend? Hall trying to get to the inside. Forbes stays wide. Hall hits. Contact. Get out of the way, Forbes. Hall wants the win, but he overcooks the corner. He'll lose time there. Now going to be a 2.5 back, and Richard, it might just be down to the teammates.
Where will the mistake happen? Green, looks like he's out of fuel. No, he's out of fuel. Talmadge makes the pass, and now Zach Hall coming down. But Talmadge could squeak away with this win if Hall does not get around Green fast enough.
Green just completely gives up on the chicane. He'll stay to the outside. Hall, though, he is finding himself closing in on the gap. He's a second back. Thomas Green does not there. No fuel for himself. Jarrett Talmadge, he doesn't have the fuel. Hall sneaks by. Final chicane. Hall overcooks it. Talmadge gets through into the wall. Who's going to have the time? They both slow down, and it's Hall at the line. Hall.
Right now, Jarrett Talmadge is going to try to throw a haymaker out of number 3 into turn 3.
Down to the apron. Does Talmadge have the run? Was the dive bomb big enough? He'll slide his way into the 3. They're almost door banging off the exit of turn 4. Side by side, coming to the line, and it's gonna be Ryan Kelly with the nose. 6 1/1000ths of a second goes to Ryan Kelly. Benjamin Nelson, Cody Reed on the inside groove, but it's Christopher Wade. Shane Terrian going to be leading the middle and the outside lane. Well, Christopher Wade, he gets tapped. Spud is the 53. It's down to Zach Hall. Benjamin Nelson, lock yourself into the next round. The 79 to the outside. Zach Hall in the 32 on the inside groove. Could Cody Reed be the stealer? Inside, down to the yellow line. Cody Reed steals it at the line. Before we get ourselves to the 802 Next Gen Elite Series racing action, we want to say thank you to some of the primary sponsors of the 802 Racing League. First and foremost, thank you to 802 themselves. Thank you to our post-race show sponsor, Riptide Radio. We want to also say thank you to G-Stone Motors. You can check them out in person in Middlebury, Vermont. As well, I want to say thank you to BG Graphics. As well, the 802 iRacing League podcast. And finally, the admin box. Thank you to all the major sponsors that help out with the 802 Next Gen Elite Series. Now let's get ready for the racing action.
Motorsports and racing cars is a big part of the heritage here at G-Stone Motors. Todd and I have been racing each other for years. I love the one-on-one competition. It comes bottom line, we're all behind each other and support each other with everything we do. I think that says a lot about our company's culture. I'm Vince Quinville, Service Manager at G-Stone Motors.
G-Stone Motors, your family Ford dealership, Route 7 South, Middlebury, Vermont.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting on your Thursday night. Tonight, we give you the coverage of the 802 Next Gen Elite Series, inching closer and closer to the halfway point as we get closer to the end of the regular season. It's crazy to say that we are 10 races in, and just a mere handful of tracks are left before we get ourselves to the chase, where 15 drivers will race it out for the Season 1 championship of the Next Gen Elite Series. But tonight, the drivers get to test their skills. The midpoint of the short track stint that we're currently underway. Last week, Isaiah Sutherland grasping their first career win and taking home the Iowa 160. Tonight, we get to try the skills at another short track, a little bit less than a mile in length, 3/4 to be exact. The drivers are certainly set up for all the runs that they can tackle as we attempt tonight's racing of the Capital City 180 from Richmond Raceway. The course that's similar in shape if you have an outside point of view, but has a lot more different characteristics than Iowa. These drivers are going to have to stay down low, hope for the best, and stay out of trouble. Might be another key factor to watch out for here this evening. Again, we're happy to give you the coverage here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. Joining me this evening is Zach Hall. And Zach, coming off of Iowa, Isaiah Sutherland grasping the win. But tonight, I got a feeling we got a lot of other heavy hitters that would love to grab a short track victory.
No doubt. I think there's going to be a lot of people fighting for this one, Sam. It's a, interesting track in Richmond. We coming off just off Iowa. They look similar, so about in shape, but they drive so differently when it comes to how do you have to attack them. So I think you can carry some of what you learned last week, of course, into here, but I think tonight will be its own beast. So I think we might see a few new names pop up that really feel the strength around this D-shaped oval here in Richmond, Virginia.
And before we also get to more action and getting you prepared for this race, we do want to say thank you to the sponsors for the 802 Next Gen Elite Series. Big thank you to G-Stone Motors, BG Graphics, the 802 iRacing League podcast, admin box, and as well Riptide Radio for all being a part of the 802 Next Gen Elite Series here for Season 1. It's always amazing to see all the sponsors that come together to join up with a league and a group of drivers that are out there having fun on the virtual side, as we've got about 6 minutes left in practice before we get ourselves to qualifying. Zach, I'm looking at some of these fast drivers on top of the board. Mike Kelly, first time we've seen that 22 be the fastest driver in practice. This is a good sign for that 22. Mark Whitley in second, Steve Ritter third, fourth is Tim Rogers, and Christian Angel fifth fastest on the board. We do have an update that Bryce Benton has already announced he will not be showing up here tonight, so going to be missing out on one of the new drivers that's been very quick, one of the stout fastest that have been really competing with Mark Whitley and also Tyler Ducharme. But Zach, back to Mike Kelly, the 22, finally having some speed here tonight. He needs that to translate though to race trim if he wants to try to make that push for the chase.
No doubt. And I think the most important thing for him, Sam, is, like you said, race trim will be important, but I think his qualifying trim is going to be the most critical for him. We see he's got speed clearly. I will say sometimes in these practice sessions you can get, a perfect condition or something just to put down the lap and things work out for you. So again, I think qualifying when everything's equal, everybody's in the same condition, we'll really get to see what the speed of everybody is. But I think if you're Mike Kelly, this is definitely confidence building heading into that qualifying session. And again, if he can just put himself in, even not even has to be a pole, if he can just put himself inside that top 5, I think that's going to be a huge, good thing for him, because I think it's really his qualifying that have caught him out this season that's got him caught up in trouble.
It really has caught him out with trouble. Looking at some other drivers that are inside of our top 15 in points. Keith Ayers in the 42, currently 11th fastest on track, yet to get a top 5 nor a top 10 this season as the 42 team, but 15th in points. Just showing up, consistent finishes can help out these drivers make it to the chase. But I think if you're the 42 team with some of the drivers outside looking in, you might need to find some good speed. One of those being Tim Rogers, runs 17th, just one top 10, but that 81, Zach, another driver to watch out for. I'm excited if Rogers can keep it together here tonight because he's had some bad luck getting caught up in some late wrecks throughout most of the season.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is going to be navigating how you get through the whole race, because this thing can be a race where, yeah, you get up towards that front half of the field and you're looking good, but you make one strategy call wrong. We look not too long in Iowa, you make a wrong strategy call, you put yourself in the back of the field, you get caught up in a wreck or a restart. And I think like a very similar thing can happen here in Richmond. So your pit strategy's got to be on point, and how you play the track position game has got to be really, really strong too, because it can cause major issues by getting back in this field. This is actually, in my opinion, one of the tougher places when it comes to aero for a short track. You just really get a ton of dirty air here, and it just makes passes that much harder. But the one thing I will say is good is this track has widened out. The groove has got a little wider, and you'll see drivers kind of venture from the bottom all the way up to the wall in 3 and 4 at some spots. So I think we could see some interesting lines being chosen.
Some drivers are really starting to find their pace here of recent. Less than 3 minutes to go here in practice for tonight's race. Again, for the capital city, 180 from Richmond Raceway, 33 drivers have registered for tonight's race. And some new names popping up and some returning names. Nicholas Sosak back out there on track. Josh Parker also going to be back out on track. New names, though, 82 of Tanner going to be Tellerico, going to be the driver to watch out for, as a little bit on the slower end of speed, but we'll see how well they can perform here tonight, as well as excited to see some of the drivers that have been here all season long. How do they find the momentum? As we'll take a closer look at the schedule and point standings at the warm-up. But as practice comes to a conclusion, it has been a season of highs and lows, but the one driver that has been consistently up front, Mark Whitley, since he's taken the points lead, he has found his way into victory lane just one time. 5 top 5, 6 top 10s. And it has been a roller coaster of, Zach, the playbook for Mark Whitley is look strong early, have a fumble of it getting caught up in a mess or having a pit road mistake, and then finishing out the race strong. I don't feel like tonight, with the way Richmond works, you can afford to have the similar mistakes we've seen the 77 have throughout this season.
No, you can't. I don't think you can have a spin or a little bit of a hiccup on pit road, because it'll really take you out of it and put you in some heavy traffic. Iowa, we talked about the tire wear there. That was crazy. Tire wear will be pretty strong here. We've got the new low downforce package here with, less underflooring on the race car and more horsepower in the engine. Also, that kind of equates to a little bit more, Goodyear tire being used. But I really think tonight we won't see this, big issue, of course, as Iowa. So that makes the passing that much harder, because you're not gonna have these huge swings of differences in tires. It's gonna be much more straight up, and if you make those mistakes, you're gonna be buried.
We would love if you're able to, out in chat, who are you rooting for? I know we've had some favorites that have popped up throughout the season. I've seen a couple of fans that are rooting for their own drivers or teams. We would love to hear from you, though, out in chat. Who are you hoping to see into victory lane, or what teams do you want to see in victory lane? Because practice is coming to a conclusion. We're about to be heading into qualifying. Qualifying's been a fun thing to watch. We've seen some drivers pop up and find their way to finish in victory lane after grabbing their pole. A lot of drivers, though, they grab the pole and find a little bit of mistakes. Can you change that up? Is going to be a big factor to root for. As Pro Guard Alan Chat saying, I'm rooting for me. And you know what? That is the biggest quality you need in a driver. Root for yourself. Otherwise, you're already starting on the back foot if you can't even root for your own self to succeed out there on track. As practice is concluding, it's time for some qualifying action. All drivers will have 2 laps to put down their fastest time, 5 minutes, to do so. And I've got to make sure, don't touch the grass, don't hit that outside wall or inside wall. That would invalidate your lap time. As the lights are fully out, the sun fully gone. All that's left is for these drivers to rev up and get ready to set some fast laps as qualifying is underway. A couple of drivers already leaving pit road, and here we go, Zach. It's time to see how the field could handle Richmond Raceway here tonight. as getting to see Chris Progar changing up the numbers. Now no longer the 7, moving to the 11, which, get ready, the next couple of weeks, a lot of drivers have asked to change their numbers up. So it's going to be a little bit of a throw off for us. And hopefully the drivers say, well, a little kind as into the outside wall goes Chris Progar. Big slide. And that's going to be one of the things to watch out for. The exit of the corners here at Richmond. Tough pill to swallow. But Zach, I mean, that's a tough one to see for Progar, but at least it was early on.
Yeah, for sure. At least he didn't, start a lap. That would have been kind of a worst case scenario for him a little bit. But yeah, just losing the rear end of that race car, and it's easy to do on those colder tires. So we'll see. I think that be an issue not only in this qualifying session, but as we get into the race, I think you're going to see that sneak up. But the first few times are starting to come through. And Keith Ayers in the 42, you talked about a great practice run for him. He's so far top of the board, but as I say that, Whitley's going to jump up to the top in the 77.
Fastest times from practice was a 21.253. Fastest time after 2 laps for Mark Whitley, a 21.376. So there's a little bit of time to pick up. But Whitley, second fastest in practice, currently pole sitter award winner currently. Still about half the field, still needing to set a time for themselves. But it's the Harpoon Designs drivers are Mark Whitley and Christian Angel, 1-2. As Mike Kelly sits in third, not able to grab that pole time that he was hoping for. And Zach, shockingly, kind of on the slower end, a 21.5. This 22 could fall down the leaderboard if a lot of these other drivers hit good qualifying laps. As Sutherland moves up into third, Tucker into fourth. It's the downfall for the 22 he better hold on for.
Yeah, watch this lap. I went on board with him and kind of made a mistake in 1 and 2. Got a little too much of the yellow line on the left front. Got onto the apron. That unbalanced the race car, and I think he had to have a small lift there. That kind of hurt the whole lap. And maybe in 3 and 4 just kind of underdrove it a little bit just to make sure you could get something out of the lap. But tough for Kelly there. I think he would have wanted more. But right now it's still 5th on the board. But I think, like you said, it has a chance to go lower as we watch Brett Hahn here set up for, looks like, his lap. And we'll see what kind of speed he has here as he starts his first one.
Brett Hahn trying to get a good marker for himself here tonight. Again, driver that won the in-season bracket challenge. Qualifies 10th currently. Scott Simley, only 1 lap was able to count for the 33, and that's good enough for 7th currently on the board. Here's a couple of other drivers that are trying to get their laps clocked in. As that's going to be Banks, who believe Brandon T. Banks trying to get the right number to car ratio. Still a little off for himself, but here's a couple of other drivers that are going to be quick. Kevin D. Brown yet to set a time. Also going to be Tyler Ducharme, as well as Josh Parker and Rob Lowell. Still yet to set a time for themselves, but here we go. Zach, fast times. Last drivers that can maybe steal the pole out on track is Kevin D. Brown. He's going to have to start at the end of the line. Both laps invalidated.
Huge. He's been super quick in that 93, so he'll have a long night here, so to say. But here's Tyler Ducharme. First lap was just to get set up for the second one. Let's see where the speed comes from this one, because that lap there's going to be 27th on the board. He's going for the big speed on the second lap.
Other drivers, unvalidated laps, Steve Ritter, Rob Lowell joining Kevin D. Brown, as well as Eric Jensen. That will not be setting a time. Josh Parker now going to be out on track, hoping to set a time for himself. Also, Chad Coleman, but across the line, Tyler Ducharme, 27th on the board. Good enough for the pole. Knew one of these drivers had the speed in them, and it is the 16, making a statement run. Has not found his way into victory lane the last 2 races. Would love to do so here tonight. And what a start, as now the 26 after 1 lap. Going to be 28th and running slow on the second, so that is no longer enough time for the 8 nor the 26. It's Tyler Ducharme with the pole here tonight for the Capital City 180. What a lap for himself as qualifying concludes. We're about to be heading into a 5-minute warm-up session. These drivers will have 5 minutes to get their last bit of practice in, and also allows us to take a deeper look of how the season's been overall. Again, this is race 10 on the schedule. We had a little bit of a preseason, get a look at how some of these drivers will be running. But since that preseason, it is kind of completely shook up on who our favorites were. It is currently Mark Whitley, Chad Coleman, Scott Simley. Simley's the one that from the preseason we knew to watch out for. He was able to recover pretty quickly from his early woes, as his teammate of Kelly has not been able to do just the same. But Zach, you look at the middle of those that are in the top 15. The Humphreys of Tyler and Grant, they are still in the top 10, just showing consistency is what matters the most.
That they are. Yeah, the Humphreys have done a good job to keep themselves right there in that. And then, of course, Tyler Ducharme, pole sitter here tonight. It could be a big move for him up that leaderboard. We saw Isaiah Sutherland get a win last week at Iowa. He moves up to 9th. But I look at that cut line, too. You got Rob Lowell, Keith Ayers, Brandon Garrard, Tim Rogers, Jim Ott, all these drivers, and Kevin D. Brown even there in 19th, all right there below the cut line or right above it. It's going to get interesting because some of these guys around this cut line starting way back in this race. It is going to be important for them to move through.
You gotta get some good runs here tonight. It's gonna be critical. And if you're one of the drivers that are making, a late start to the season, you gotta start winning out and just finishing in the top 3 every race. We'll see how well they can translate that, because we're really not even into the easy portion of the schedule. That might have been earlier on. As we take a look at the schedule and where we're at right now, we're in the middle of a short track stint of Iowa, Richmond, New Hampshire. Then we head to Daytona, the little bit of a breather moment. Not really an easy track before we come back for Darlington, Worldwide Technology Raceway, otherwise known as Gateway, and we finish out the regular season at Bristol. I mean, Zach, the fact that Daytona is your breather race is a sign we are in the heart-wrenching, hardest part of the season.
I'd have to agree. Yeah, that is wild to say. Daytona is the one that you probably take the most breath out of. And yes, actually, I'd agree with that because, Richmond here tonight's going to be tough. Then you go to New Hampshire next week, which, wow, it's really difficult to drive there. Darlington, no words needed, and in Worldwide Technology in Bristol, like you said. So, really tough into the regular season here for everybody, but it's going to build up some interesting finishes, I think, here. That's going to set us up for quite the chase because look at those playoffs, man. A lot of great tracks in there.
Yeah, I mean, we're setting it up. It's the drivers' tracks here for the rest of the regular season. And then it is who's ready for some mile-and-a-half racing for the end of it, as the chase is certainly right around the corner. But for us, we've got our pick'ems. Who are drivers we feel like are those to watch out for? Certainly, we've got your favorites. Of those are going to be in victory lane, but sometimes we got storyline picks. I'm going to go with the odds-on favorite. In my opinion, I'm going with Mark Whitley. 77's been on a roll, and I think he's going to continue on it, looking for his second win of the season. I think it might happen here tonight. Zach, who do you think is a driver, though, that we should be watching out for?
Well, I'm not going far from the 77. I'm going to go to the 16. Our pole sitter here tonight, Tyler Ducharme. I think he's going to end up back in victory lane here tonight. This guy has been really fun to watch throughout the season. He has came through the field multiple times with, problems and hiccups throughout the races. But I think here tonight, starting from the pole, he's got a clear shot to victory.
Hey, the only driver with 2 wins this season, not a bad pick to try to go for win number 3. And then our third member of our crew running production in the background, Robert Moyer Jr., he's going to pick the 22 of Mike Kelly, who is still trying to find his way into the win column after winning twice in the preseason. At a short track, he showed some good speed in the past at a similar course. We'll see if he can get it done here tonight. But there are obviously many of other drivers to watch out for that are going to be fast drivers. But Zach, how are those fast drivers going to get into victory lane? What are some of your key moments of this evening?
Well, Richmond is a tricky track, this D-shaped, short track pretty much. I think one of the things now very critical with this higher horsepower is putting the power to the ground. What that means is do not spin those rear tires. And we've seen there right off the get-go in qualifying the issues that happen for Chris Progar. When you don't put the power to the ground, these cars are easy to wreck. So if you do that and you have issues with it, you might have some big incidents ahead for you tonight. Next, you got to find your brake setup. And what I mean by that is we as drivers have the ability to change our brake biases. And I think it is so critical at Richmond to get that dialed in, because when you break off into turn 1, you're turning the wheel already a little bit left. Then you go off into 3 and 4, and it's a much straighter, sharp turn in. So very different profiles of corners, the way the D shape of this track is. Braking is so critical, and getting the brake biases got to be right. Third and last but not least, avoid the chaos of the restarts. You're going to see that all tonight. Anytime we have a restart going down into 1, it's going to be people diving to the inside, diving to the outside to try to find any way to get around their competition.
Around the competition, watch out for the wheel spin as well. Very good points to watch out for. Thanks, Zach, for the key moments of the race. And with practice over, qualifying done, the warm-up just finishing up, all that's left, 180 laps here at Richmond. No fast repair, no stage break, just 3 extra sets of tires in pit road, and maybe a stop or 2 for fuel. We'll see how these drivers want to handle some of the pit strategies, but grabbing his second pole of the season, Tyler Ducharme, able to be the fast man from qualifying to his outside, going to be the fastest driver for the season. It's going to be your points leader of Mark Whitley in second. Christian Angel going to be in third with Isaiah Sutherland, winner from last week, starting inside of our top 5 in fourth, with Steve Tucker in the 34, starting in fifth. Finishing out our top 10, going to be the 22 of Mike Kelly, Grant Humphrey, Scott Simley, Johnny Barker, and Keith Ayers in the 42.
Starting in 11th, it's going to be the 71 of Brett Hahn. In 12th, it's going to be the 5 of Michael Wolf. Tim Rogers will start 13th, with Kevin Royce starting in the 14th position. 15th is going to go to the 39 of Colin Trabas, and Aiden Tatro will start in 16th. 17th is going to go to Jamison Heath. 18th is going to go to Logan Troyer. 19th is going to be Tanner Tallarico, and rounding out our top 20 is Ty Dickinson.
In 21st position, we find Brandon T. Banks in the 23. In 22nd place, we find the 87 of David Glass, with Daniel Holdcroft in 23rd. Nicholas Sosak going to be in the 09 and 24th. 25th will be the 94 Kevin S. McDonald, with Chris Progrard, Arabia Caton the 3rd, Josh Parker, Kevin D. Brown. And finish our top 30 will be the 8 machine of Chad Coleman. The last 3 drivers on our listing will be Steve Ritter, Rob Lowell, and Eric Jensen. We got 33 drivers out on track, ready to get to racing action. Zach, the restarts, the initial start, it's going to be chaotic, but with some of these drivers that are up front, is there anyone that you're kind of circling to watch out for the early charge?
Well, we always see, the 74 Isaiah Sutherland. He's willing to make big moves. He's going to be up on the outside, so I don't know if necessarily we'll see him be making nothing crazy here happen on this restart. But I think from the get-go here, these guys know this race 180 laps. No reason to rush anything now. I think later in the race is when you might see those super aggressive moves down the 1B main.
How aggressive do you want to be early on, or do we be patient and wait for the late stages? Will it be pit strategy, or will it be raw speed? We'll find out as the Capital City 180 is underway. We're green with Tyler Ducharme, Mark Whitley side by side, and the rest of the field behind them, roaring down into turn number 1. As the rest of the field exit of turn 2, going to be a troublesome spot. Who can hold on with the loose conditions and cold tires? So far, everyone's clean.
Everyone is clean so far, like you said, Sam. They're right now navigating turn 3 and 4. Very easy to make that quick mistake off of 4, but everybody does a great job as we get 1 lap in the books here at Richmond Raceway.
Lap 1 going to be led by the 16 of Tyler Ducharme, but lap 2 might not be as easy. Mark Whitley going to be poking the nose down to the inside, down into 3 and 4. And the 16 just opts out immediately. That was probably the easiest pass Mark Whitley's had all season long.
It was. Wow. Yeah, Tyler did not fight that hard. He must be really focusing on saving the tires here and just allowing Mark right now to get quick and early control of this race is right behind him. You see last week's winner, the 74 Isaiah Sutherland, he's up the inside trying to make the pass on the 79 Christian Angel, but just cannot find a way yet to get it done.
There was a little bit of trouble off the exit turn number 4 as Nicholas Sosak in the 09 had a trip through the grass. Lost the 9 positions from where he qualified. The fastest lap go to Mark Whitley. You can see in the middle of the field, though, it is all action as Troyer in the 12 goes a little bit wide for the green machine, but finds a space to get back down into the groove as they head down in turn number 3 and 3 wide. Not what I was expecting to see is Progrard in the 11. Had to make an emergency opt-out.
Definitely had to opt out of that one real quick there not to have any issues. So great job here. Early give and take. That is what's critical in these first opening phases of this race. No reason to go out here, destroy your race car, and cause it, create enemies for you for later in the season. I think that's the one thing about short track racing is, yes, you can race hard, but you can really cause some issues. But up ahead of these guys, man, big move being made by the 01 Jamison Heath. He went right to the inside of Colin Trabas, shot his way up into 15th.
And going to be seeing Heath debut race for the 01 machine. As well, expecting to see these debut drivers. They usually make a little bit of noise throughout these races. In good ways, bad ways, you never know until the race is done. But the 0-1 trying to see this Mountain Dew machine moving forward, trying to make the pass on Kevin Roy for 14th position. Grant Humphrey going to be just settling right in front as they're riding pretty good at this current moment. Your top 8 drivers, though, really have gapped out from the rest of the field. Almost a full second and a half difference from 8th back to 9th. Zaka, a lot of holdup for Michael Wolf, who looks to be just taking it easy with Barker and a couple of others that are deciding it is not all about putting down the fastest lap.
Yeah, it looks like a few of these drivers willing to back up the pace just a little bit to, allow some time to be given up, but maybe allow for them to have a better run at the end. But this is where the mess is at. You got the likes of, I believe, you got Kevin D. Brown in it. You got Aiden Tatro in the 24. You got Colin Trabas right here. But Kevin D. Brown, he's been the one that's really charging through. We saw he didn't get the lap in. He's now already up to 18th and trying to make the pass to try to get inside here to 17th.
And seeing those drivers that did not qualify well really does shake up the back half of the field, because you're thinking you're in a zone where you can take it easy. Instead, you're put in probably the hardest position of the race early on as Holdcroft pulls to the outside, letting some of the competition drive on through as Parker, as well as Sean Coleman. They're going to be forcing it 3 wide for a moment here, and Coleman squeezes through, but Banks, that's not a safe place to be for the 55 on screen, 23 on our ticker, as well as seeing a couple of other drivers. I mean, Zach, this is just a go as quickly as you can and hope that you've got the space further on back to make these fast passes as quickly as possible with Coleman, Parker, Kevin D. Brown. I mean, this is some dangerous passes being made. No doubt, yeah. And I tell you, great job by Brandon T. Banks there to navigate all that and get through that cleanly, because that could have been a detriment for sure for everybody. But they all make it through, and right now through the first 12 laps, I've seen a lot of great racing out here, and everybody kind of, like, again, give and take. Like some people are going to be aggressive. Well, give it to them, and hopefully they'll give it back later. That's just what you're hoping for, but sometimes the gift is not repaid. No, not always. I know for the battle for the lead, we'll see how well that wants to be a give and take, as they're currently still in line. A battle inside of the top 10, that's not been a lot of give and take, but actually a lot of door rubbing through the corners. That's the battle for 6. Steve Tucker, Scott Simley. Simley has been using up the 34 through the center of the corner and almost takes him out there in the center of 1 and 2. The 33 has been trying every which way to get around the 34. Just not possible currently with the ways that these guys are too late into the run, and just showing tire wear. Once those tires are heated up, it is difficult to find any opening to pass the driver ahead.
It really does get difficult, and that's why when Tyler Ducharme, who is still stuck right behind our leader, Mark Whitley, when he gave up that lead, I was just like, I don't know. This is a tough track to pass at, man. You get stuck right there. But look at this, as I say that, Ducharme, he's looked back to the inside here down into 1 and 2. We'll see what Whitley has to do here to fire back on the outside. I think he'll have the clearness off the down to the back straightaway. This 16 continuing to put the pressure on.
I'm curious for Mark Whitley if he's been given the message of back off, it's okay to save your tires, or you got to go full bore, try to build the gap, and it just wore out the tires too quickly. There's a couple of different ways you can attack this track, and also just these cars in general, is build the gap, hope that your tires never fall off. But a lot we've seen this season, tire wear has become a major factor. The tire heat has been a factor that has pulled these drivers and fields back in with one another. But Mark Whitley holds for the lead, but he's got a little bit of friendly company might be joining into the fray for the battle for the lead. That's the 79 of Christian Angel.
Yeah, I think Angel was in the best of both worlds there. He was just kind of riding along. Same for Mike Kelly in the 22. These guys were riding, letting these two kind of set the pace up front. Maybe they'll be able to attack them here later in this run. So as we ride on board with Christian Angel, one thing you'll see, it's going to shift up into 5th, down to 4th here into 1 and 2. He's going to run 4th here off the exit of 2, and I'm going to be interested to see, does he shift up? Looks like he will, as he's going to go back down into 4th there right before the corner. So sometimes people will stay in 4th, but some people allowing that to shift up to get a little bit more speed.
A little bit more speed, and also having that little bit of engine, slow down to help on the entry of the corner when you're shifting back down. Sometimes helps with drivers. But with Christian Angel, 2 top 5s, 5 top 10s, looking at that stat line, running 4th in points, Christian Angel has been a driver that I feel like is just so under the radar at times, being up front. I'm shocked yet to get a victory. Well, you know that there is a time where this 79 most likely will be in victory lane, especially with the speed we've seen this season.
No doubt. He has been really, really consistent, and he's had some really good runs, especially some of the short tracks. You know, look back to Wilkesboro, Iowa. He was competitive at both of those places. So we have some short track stuff coming on us. I think he could very well be one of those drivers that really, shows out here over this next portion of this stretch of the schedule. But I tell you what, the guy who won a lot in the preseason, he's finally starting to show up here tonight. Mike Kelly, he needs this run, and he is right now putting the pressure on at 79.
Mike Kelly, 2 wins in the preseason, had an average finish of 1.2 during the 3 races before the official start of the 802 Next Gen Elite Series. And he was the driver on everyone's radar of those that were in that competition and raced those early runs to watch out for. The luck has not been there in the early going, but man, the aggression is picking up. Tyler Ducharme trying a unique way to try to run 3 and 4. Well, Kelly, the aggressive entry did not get rewarded with a pass just yet, but this 22 looks quick. But Zach, he looks quick, but I'm looking at the lap times. We're already 24 laps into this race, and the fall off on the lap times, almost a full second already.
Yeah, it's a lot already, and that's kind of been this short track package since we've got the update. So it's, I think they've made a lot better short track racing. And look here, Kelly going to look to the inside. This is going to be tough, though, because, again, you're getting pinched down here, and that's why you see our leaders kind of run those higher lines that kind of get those straighter exits. Now, I will say, running that upper groove does make the tires as old. The 22 back up the inside of 79. A little contact being made as the 79 felt to close the door off, but now they'll be a dead heat side by side heading off into one. They're beating doors.
And this isn't the only battle that's been running like this. Is Kelly, big slide down to the entry of the corner, just aggressively turned down, able to find the clearance, now trying to drive away, but Angel not willing to give up just yet. Now going to dive down into turn number 3. And there's been a couple of battles in the middle pack as well, where drivers entry 3 have overcooked their tires, slid their brakes, and had to utilize that driver to the outside to get through the corner. Kelly makes it work. A couple of other guys, their apologetic runs are giving the space instead of holding their ground. Here's going to be the 21 of Rob Lowell. Rob enters tonight 14th in points. He's got 1 win, but that is the only finish inside of the top 10 this season. He is a driver that I thought also was going to be a driver to watch out for. His strength, those 1.5-mile tracks, and we're not going to be at any of them until the playoffs, until we get to the chase. And that means Rob's got to step up this package here tonight. But the battle for the lead underway. It's Tyler Ducharme, Mark Whitley side by side for themselves. We'll get back to talking about Rob later on. But Zach, Ducharme almost completed that pass.
Yeah, they're running some really interesting lines, and that's kind of what I've seen from this Richmond track recently, is you can really make some interesting things, especially here in 3 and 4. You'll see Ducharme, look at him go way up the racetrack. He's going to do a big arcing cut down here that's going to try to straighten and make that straightaway longer. It allows him to get a big run on this 77. My concern, when you're doing that arcing turn down like that, you have to put a lot of load up into the right front tire to get that car to come back down the hill. And these two right now, they're using every bit of tire they got, and we're only 30 laps into this run. If I'm Mike Kelly, I just need to be patient back here on the bottom, let these guys continue to overheat their equipment, overheat their brakes, and I should be knocking on their door if they keep battling, especially with lap traffic coming up right ahead of them.
Yeah, lap traffic expected to be in the way in the next about 5 to 10 laps. Their first driver they'll catch up to is Kevin S. McDonald and Arabia Caton III, as well as Ty Dickinson. They're going to be those first 3 drivers that are trying their best to hold stationary and not lose any more ground. But you can see even Kevin D. Brown, one of our faster drivers in the series that we know, if we were at any other track, probably would have already been inside of the top 10, currently just making the pass to move into 13th place. Shocker to see from this 93, who's tried his best, but I mean, it's just showing how difficult even to pass in the mid-pack, even with having the faster vehicle.
No doubt, yeah. You can be a lot quicker than somebody sometimes, and if they just play their cards right and get a good enough exit, they can kind of just stall you out. It's really, really difficult to explain, but man, I tell you, drivers are very good at it sometimes, of just kind of just hitting their marks and just doing what they can on the outside. And it makes passing on the bottom that much more tough, as you see right here. A lot of guys washing up the track. It's going to allow that 55 of Brandon T. Banks. He's coming through here right now, and he's making some good passes. And, I watched Banks. He saved a lot of tire there to start this runoff. He has one of the slowest first, best laps of this race, but that's allowed him to really move back forward.
Moving back forward and hoping to gain more time than what he lost. Other drivers hoping to salvage a run. There's a little bit of changing of guards on drivers that are having good exits of the corners, and others are slowing down. David Glass in the 87 back in 27 found himself with a little bit of trouble, but here's some chaos. Seeing Keith Ayers in the 42, Coleman, as well as seeing some of the new runners. Josh Parker drives on by on the inside. The 01 kind of being swarmed. Ayers, Coleman, big slam for the 42 on both sides.
Wow, yeah, that was a big slam for the 42. Yeah, that's tough for him. He came in here tonight right on that cut line, so he needs to have some good runs, and was looking good in practice, looked decent in qualifying, but has not had a good first stint. Look, that car not wanting to turn as it goes up the racetrack here. You can see the guys behind him closing in quickly.
Hopping on board, see what 42 is dealing with in his cockpit. And for our viewing standpoint, does it look like the steering offset is off too much? But obviously, that handling is not right with how much he has to turn into the corners, trying to slow down. It's that overzealous turning, just a little bit more than you'd like to see from the 42, but that's as much that he has to put in to even get this car to turn around.
Yeah, he's in trouble right now, too. He's running about a second and a half off the pace of our leaders, so that's had a ton. But what did happen to Tyler Ducharme here?
Tyler Ducharme caught with lap traffic, and he finds himself losing ground quickly, as a couple of other drivers are falling back after troubles. But Zach, I'm not 100% sure what happened to him. What are you seeing on your end?
He had a major incident with him between him and the 67, I believe, car of Ty Dickinson. He was going to be come up to lap these guys, and this might already be after it because he's already got the damage on the right front here. But he had a major incident lapping the 67. I think he thought he was going to clear him, and unfortunately for him, he didn't, and it just slammed him into the outside wall. If we can get it close on that right front, I'm surprised that the tow link is still available for that car. He is in big trouble, though, Sam. That is going to be very hard to drive.
On away the 16 machine, and he continues to falter backwards. Also, Keith Ayers able to get into pit road to get his service done. Nicholas Sosak is calling it an evening after his early woes. And it is just troublesome spot after troublesome spot. Here's the 67 coming up to lap cars. Here's going to be that incident you were talking about, Zach, on what went wrong with Ducharme. And it looked like it was multiple different issues going around.
Yeah, this was about 10 laps. This was about 5-10 laps later. So I think we already have got well past that incident. But it is unfortunate for him because, man, he just really got caught up. Actually, no, this should be actually it because there's Mike Kelly right there. Sorry about that, folks. This should be it right here off the exit of 4. You'll see the 67 is going to go wide here. 16 is going to think he's going to clear. He's going to come up the racetrack. And unfortunately, the 67 had to run off the top and got there. And I think Ducharme figured he would give him that, give him that space and give him the room to exit the corner. But unfortunately, he didn't. And I can tell you right now, I mean, he's running about a second and a half off the pace also. So that car is major tow link damage.
It went from a chance to win to now won't even most likely finish this race in the top 20. Tyler Ducharme needs a caution badly to get those repairs done. Ayers again in pit road. Sosak out of this race. But multiple drivers dealing with some heavy right side damage all around. The outside walls collected a few, and now Tyler Ducharme forced to pit road. But Zach, that was probably the best thing if you're Mark Whitley. Now you don't have the worry of Ducharme on your rear end. And now for Mike Kelly, having that assistance as Isaiah Sutherland goes into the corner aggressively. Forcing a couple of those lap cars a little bit high and into the outside. But this certainly changes things up for Mike Kelly on how he's got to find a way to close in the gap to Mark Whitley.
That's for sure, yeah. He's now got clear track between him and Whitley, too. So we'll see again what they can run lap time-wise. But we're 46 laps into this run. This is 100 an 80-lap event. If you're one of these drivers, you're going to try to one-stop this thing if you can. And that's taking it to lap 90, so we're about halfway through the run technically right now, if anything. And if anything from the fall off we see right now, it may be difficult for them to do that, Sam. I think you could possibly see a two-stop even work here because of just how much fall off we're seeing, and pit stops are not nearly as long as they used to be.
No, they're actually a lot quicker now, as they're a lot more realistic to real-life NASCAR pit stops. They're around that 9 to 10 second window. Previously, that'd be kind of our sign from our point of view of, oh, that driver took 2 tires. Now it's a little bit more awkward. We got to kind of check at moments to see, was it 2 tires? Was it 4 tires? How long were they sitting in pit road? Currently, Tyler Ducharme, Keith Ayers still sitting pit road. David Glass, Ty Dickinson hit pit road, Zach, and they decide to pit. There is the chance of, do you want to pit multiple times, not just once? Would that be a more optimal way to go around this track? All drivers going 3 extra sets of tires in pit road, and with how the fall off is on these tires, there's a chance that taking the early pit stop might actually reward you later on.
I'd agree with you, Sam. I can take this from personal experience running at New Hampshire. You would think sometimes it would be a one-stop even at that track, right? But with how much fall-off you had, you could actually do a two-stop and it would be quicker. So I kind of think we're in that same boat here, similar tonight. And if anything, that window is about to open up here at lap 60 for that first pit stop that you would make, and then of course you make the second one at about 120. But the only concern you would have is just, you come down pit road, you're making your bed when it comes to strategy, because if so, you will go laps down. That caution comes out during the sequence, you're in big trouble.
We've been watching this incredible battle for 12th place. Tim Rogers also going to be seeing Tellerico and Coleman back and forth, 81, 82, and 8 machine going side by side. And Zach, mid-pack, they're still giving us a show to watch out for, but it's Coleman that gives the tap, the chrome horn. Get the 82 out of the way. The 8 wants to move forward, and the patience level might be finally thrown away for Coleman, who again started all the way back in 30th position with bad qualifying. The 8's trying to recover as quickly as possible, and the longer he sits behind these drivers, the bigger of a gap it becomes between himself and Mark Whitley.
Exactly right. And I think if you're Chad Coleman, you're kind of basing your progress on Kevin D. Brown, who also had a similar start from the rear of the field thing there too. So Brown's up to 10th, he's up to 13th. There's about a second and a half to up to 2 seconds separating them. So they're within shouting distance. It's just he's trying to get past these cars to make up that gap. And right here to the inside of Tim Rogers, we'll see if he's able to do it. He's gotten to the inside. It's just Rogers did a really good job of getting a great X off of 4. This should be his best opportunity, though, here down into 1 and 2 and off of 2.
And with that pass being made, that will make it. Our top 16 drivers either are advanced position or have held position on where they started in this race. Everyone's 17th on back, and majority of them lost multiple positions for themselves. It's been a tough night for a couple of these drivers. Grant Humphrey was qualified 7th. He's currently outside of the top 15, just showing how rough this course can be. Here's Brett Hahn, Scott Simley. Hahn just made the pass over the 33. Simley trying to retaliate back to get back in that 6th place spot.
Trying to get back to that spot for sure, and it's tough to do. You go to that spot, now you want to get it back, but it's just so hard to race for that, as these guys are about 5 seconds back from our leader, Mark Whitley. And looking lap times wise, everybody's pretty much in the same range, 22 nines to 23 flats. So everybody kind of running similar times here, and that's all the way back to 10th position, where our leader and Kevin D. Brown right now, they're a 200th of a second separating their lap times. Just shows you how competitive this field is.
The plateau is certainly there, still battling around that 12th place position, where Brandon T. Banks able to make the pass on multiple different drivers. As seeing a couple of this grouping, Zach, this has been an interesting evening of seeing who's able to advance forward, who hasn't been able to advance forward. But will we see a caution here tonight? Because Richmond's one of those bizarre tracks where handling wise, it's difficult to hold on to. You have to be mentally focused every lap, every exit, every entry. You got to make sure you hit your marks, which when you've got to focus that hard, it kind of helps you to be a little bit more gentle with your competition around you.
No doubt, yeah, I totally agree with that. When you have to drive hard as we had a little incident up here. Han got checked up by the lap car there. I think lap car coming to pit row, but I don't know exactly what all
Tucker.
transpired there. Yeah, actually, that was Tucker. That wasn't a lap car.
That was Tucker who was battling up in that top 5 positioning spot, heading to pit road. Also going to be seeing Chad Coleman decide to hit pit road. So they're not even aiming for halfway. We're pitting on lap 661. That's a 2-stop strategy that some other drivers are attempting.
I like it. I really think if it goes green, I think that is the fastest race strategy. I think, again, the only issue is you're putting yourself at a risk here with this sequence now. If someone comes out here on these brand new tires, cold tires, and they spin it, or they get into one of these slower, older tire race cars and cause a caution, you're going to be trapped laps down. So that is, again, the risk versus reward of playing that strategy. I think if you're the leaders, if you're still wanting to do the 2-stop of these leaders, I think you'll see them stretch out here maybe to 68 or so, maybe even to 70, just to get that little bit of wiggle room just in case we have some yellow flag issues.
We got a shout out for David Glass, who was one of the first drivers to hit pit road here tonight, trying to go with a 3-stop strategy and see if that's going to work out here tonight. We also have the number 1 of Brandon, who sadly could not make it out here tonight, but says, zoom, zoom, drive safe, boys. And currently, we have been safe. If you're just joining us, we have been clean in green for the first 64 laps of tonight's running of the Capital City 180. It's been a pleasure to give you the call here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is Zach Hall. Running production in the background is Robert Moyer Jr. We also want to say thank you to the sponsors that are calling and helping out here tonight of G-Stone Motors, BG Graphics, the 802 iRacing League podcast. Also want to say thank you to the admin box in Riptide Radio, as the first go takers of the 2-stop strategy have made their marks. It's just 2 drivers, Zach, which I'm curious on your standpoint. Is it the fact that they're the only 2, is that gamble even worth it now?
Yeah, when it's only 2 of you, it does make it more difficult. You would hope more cars would come to pit road, because that just allows you to jump ahead of them, not have to, go through the slower traffic. But we'll see. I mean, a lot of these guys could be, again, focused on that 1-stop strategy. I'm one of those drivers that I've always felt the less pit stops is the better way to go, at least from past history. But when you have quicker pit stops on pit road, you gain those valuable seconds that you do now from a pit stop compared to what you used to. And the tire fall, if that we're seeing, you can have the ability for the second stops to work, but if that yellow comes out like we've seen there, I think Keith Ayers is almost going around the front straightaway. He gathers it up, but if you get that yellow flag, it's all thrown out the window, because guess what? They're both laps down right now.
There's been a lot of drivers that have gone through the grass, found trouble off the exit of the corner. I mean, there are multiple different drivers that last lap that had issues, and starting to see the wear and tear on the tires. Mental fatigue as well could be hitting in. And it has been a tough one so far. We also have a Let's Go Brett Hahn, who currently runs just outside of the top 5. As into pit road, it's Kevin D. Brown pitting on lap 69. Zach, this is an awkward time to hit pit road, I feel like, if you're Kevin D. Brown, but see if it works out for himself. As I'm watching some of these drivers that have fresh rubber underneath them, Keith Ayers being the main one, trying to carve their way through the field. Old tires versus new. This is a difficult route to take, as well as seeing Steve Tucker in the 34 trying to follow suit with the fresh tires. They've got to be patient.
They definitely do. They got Brett Hahn right in front of them. The same with Scott Simley. And these are 2 top 5 cars that are 5th and 6th on the racetrack right now. And don't want to cause issues with them and mess their race up. And you also want to get by them as quickly as possible. So it makes things very awkward, so to say. And right now, Ayers got around them and has done it, and same for Steve Tucker. But Ayers, the problem for him, he's 15 laps down after damage repairs.
71 laps already, clean and green. The battle for second place now underway. This helps build a gap for Mark Whitley even more, as Christian Angel has found a way to get around the set 22 of Mike Kelly. That's a big pass for the 79, and that is a big run for Harpoon Designs that runs 1-2 at this current moment. That outside, just big momentum surge for the 79, able to finally complete the pass fully.
And it was, and look right here. The 22 has done a really good job here of just being very, very consistent, and it's allowed that 79, same for him, to reel him right in. And these two have kept within Whitley's range, but just that 79 has been a little bit more consistent to now get past Mike Kelly, who's seeming to lose a little bit of that drive off that he had before.
Pit road, calling some drivers' names and trying to make some stops as a couple of drivers head to pit road, get their service done. Here's Brett Hahn in the 71, forced 3 wide with Barker, Coleman, and Hahn just goes up to the outside wall and says, that wall is my best friend, as everyone else scoots on by on the inside groove. Just seeing the difference, fresh tires versus old. If you have been able to hold on, you're able to make these passes as quickly and as efficiently as possible, but you also have a little bit of lap traffic that you're dealing with, which I think that's also hurting the field slightly for themselves. But when do you want to slide into pit road? It's kind of been the big question to know. How do you get into your box quickly? As Rob Lowell, big mistake for the 21. He really overshot his pit box, had to back up, which took him over 3 seconds to do so, and finally able to put a set of tires in. Trouble for a couple of drivers, though. Pit road calling for the 81 of Tim Rogers. Blown tire might be for Rogers, unless it's some heavy damage he just took on.
It's just a tire. I think it is just a tire, yeah, because I don't see any damage with this race car around. So yeah, he's just got a blown tire, and very well might have blown the right front. I mean, it's very high tire wear here, and look, he's trying to get down the pit road, and he will get it down there. So luckily, not too big of an issue, just more or less losing some time from being slow.
And that's the same thing that just happened to the 24 of Aiden, who just found his way forced to pit road because of a blown tire. So now's the question, similar to last week at Iowa, can you even get to the halfway marker that you're looking for at lap 90 if we're already seeing blown tires for some drivers that were in the mid-pack? Mark Whitley, Christian Angel. Did you overcook those tires? Did Mike Kelly overcook his tires? It's the question of, can you get to the marker you're looking for as Brett Hahn now hits the pit road?
Yeah, I think this is going to be tough for them to do that, Sam. So we'll see. I mean, some of the leaders, they definitely probably will be in a little better position from the cleaner air they've had and just the ability to manage those tires very well. As now, as I say that, Mike Kelly on the pit road, so he's not attempting the one stop. This is definitely a late transition into a two-stopper here, but it was a yellow. Caution! Yellow.
Caution is out. Tim Rogers, who just pitted for tires. We talked about the worry of the cold tires hitting, and it crumbles for the 81, and that traps our top 12 are on the lead lap. Everyone else 1 lap down, 19th on back, 2 laps down. They will stay at least 1 lap down.
And that is a tough break for them. Mike Kelly, he stays on the lead lap as we check out the instant replay here, and you can see just a simple not being able to put the power to the ground, those cold tires. I mean, it's immediate, Sam. He comes off a pit road here, gets up the speed through the apron here of 1 and 2, and once he hits 3 and 4 and gets on that gas there in 4, it is going to be an instant spin for him. And I can tell you, this is a common condition that we see with these cars. Very cold tires, and you're used to the warmer tires. You come out here to pit out the exit, and you get on the gas like you normally would, and next thing you know, you're spinning out.
Spinning out and going for a loop, and then you're on the grass trying to get rolling because you're upset you just spun out, and then you lock it down, and caution flag's thrown. As that will end our 80-plus green flag run. We'll find ourselves getting ready for pit stops, as majority of the field going to be heading into pit road to get service done. Zach had talked about how there was going to be a couple of drivers hoping to take the wave around to get back onto the lead lap. Only our top 16 might have a chance to be on the lead lap. Might not even be that, because Steve Tucker as well as Chad Coleman, the timing of the yellows when they were out on track to getting back onto the lead lap at times, it has made things a little bit awkward for the field.
That it has, yeah. So Tucker looks like he's going to stay out on the older tires. Same for, looks like Coleman. So again, yeah, they'll be on the lead lap, but on much older tires here. And It's going to make for an interesting sequence here for sure. I don't know, I guess because, we don't have that many sets of tires here. I completely forgot we took a set of tires away from your 802, and that's probably the reason why you're seeing them kind of not willing to waste another set.
Not wanting to worry about later on. I think a good notion is the fact that this field is now shrunk on who's on the lead lap. Just 15 drivers on the lead lap as we're given our admin box 1 to green. Very quick turnaround on these replays to cautions. Big thank you again to BG Graphics and G-Stone that are sponsoring. G-Stone going to be sponsoring our replays and BG Graphics the caution. But quick turnaround. Steve Tucker going to be the driver that opts into staying out and will be in the control vehicle in the 34. Mark Whitley going to be on the outside. We'll see how this restart wants to work out with some cold tires. For cold tires, some have worn tires. And it's time for us to get back to green flag racing. Almost to the halfway point here tonight for the Capital City 180. As we are green. Tucker taking off on the inside groove. Whitley, pressure tires on the outside. Expected to take the lead almost immediately. And here we go. Lap 85. And Zach Whitley has got the run. And Angel trying to follow in too.
That it is. Teammates trying to follow each other, and think they will be able to, once they fire the tires up, be able to quickly get around. It's just Tucker has a little bit more air pressure, a little bit more heat built in the older tires, so he's able to fight for the time being. But Whitley able to take that lead, and now Angel jumping up to the top. He's going to look for that spot up the second. And I tell you what, if I'm going Whitley, that's got to be the focus on who to beat, because man, Angel has been so consistent. He could be the one that could be very well compete with him.
Angel could be the one. Also got to be worrying about Isaiah Sutherland back in 4th place. I know they were very good on the short run. We'll see if they can pick up any speed and maybe tire saving on the long run, but also got to give kudos. Josh Parker missed out on a good qualifying run. Had to start all the way back in 28th position and now up to 5th because of staying out the 26. An opportunity to race with some of these front runners, and it never really showed their true speed during this race trim. It's always been just saving their tires, waiting for the long run. So we'll see what 5th place runner has. Is behind Michael Wolf, Banks, as well as Simley and Kelly, almost thinking about a stacked 4 wide with one another. They all get in line.
Yeah, thinking better of that for sure. They don't want to be caught up with no issues. And Mike Kelly having to make the charge back through in the 22 machine. Was on pit road as that yellow happened, had to just drive through his box, and luckily for him, he stayed on the lead lap, but he lost a ton of track position, and now he's going to have to fight his way and claw back through here as he's racing with his teammate Scott Simley.
And this also is going to put things into a tougher aspect of if this race goes green from here on out. Do you have the fuel? Can you save the tires to stretch it all the way to the end of this race? Because you've made your one-step pit stop here tonight. I'm expecting some other drivers to maybe be forced to make 2 stops, that being Steve Tucker, as well as Kevin D. Brown, Coleman. Due to them having to take the wave around, they might be in a little bit of trouble for the later runs of this race. Through the grass, the 39 of Colin Trebass going to be the driver going for a little bit of a scoot. And also Kevin McDonald has called it a race here this evening. Actually, he did not call it. He got disconnected from the server with packet loss and is trying to reconnect back in.
It's so tough for Kevin there for sure. And well, let's see, as he said, he's connecting back in. We'll see how he can get back on track. But right now, we've had some great battle here. Michael Wolf up the inside of the 33, assimilating. You're going to see Terrence Talarico right there also. He's going to be looking to fight his way forward as he's got inside of the top 10 now in that 82 machine. And this has all been some excellent battles as, again, Mike Kelly charging his way through. He's gotten past the 34 Tucker and now a set of sights on Banks, who, Brandon T. Banks last week at Iowa was very, very strong. Again, here tonight at Richmond, late in the going, he's up into the top 5.
Again, Brandon T. Banks, 55 on your screen, 23 on the ticker board. On this left side is, let's see where Brandon runs currently. As the drivers over the radio just announcing to some of the competitions they were just riding, which I feel like is the right call to make. We just climbed into this second half of the race. Just riding around, if you're on the lead lap, best call you can make right now. And for the guys that are already a lap down, they're doing their best to make sure they're not the cause of the caution.
That's for sure. You don't want to be that cause of that caution for sure. As now Kelly's got around all that traffic. We'll see if the 22 can charge his way back up there. Is even got to give a shout out the 26 of Josh Parker. He has had an excellent race for him. He's up to 4th, and he qualified 28th, man. So that was last of the cars that put down times, and just impressive run from him all the way up through in that 26 machine.
I mean, Josh Parker has been one of the drivers when he shows up. He is a top 5, top 3 threat. He's finished in the top 5 3 times, and top 10 3 times as well. He's only ran 5 races, so that's kind of been the hardship of Parker. When he shows up, he's a fast driver to watch out for, but due to the lack of showing up for enough races, might be missing out on the chase and one of the faster contenders. They could really shake things up, might have to turn into a show up and try to just get into victory lane type of driver, which talking about preseason and how dominant Mike Kelly looked. Here's a driver who dominated Dover during the preseason. It's the 6 machine of Johnny Barker, who runs 11th currently. And just seeing the competition racing hard in front of him, but the 6 machine, not a bad day that he's having right now.
No doubt, yeah. I tell you, the 6 is he's had a good day, here. We saw him win in our preseason races, and it's been an all right, regular season for him. We thought maybe it would be a little bit more of a contender, but here tonight, showing some good pace, and right now, putting that pressure on the 5 to try to break into that top 10. So that is critical to do, and if you want to be competing here, you got to be able to string together those consistent finishes, especially in these last few races of the regular season.
Yeah, Johnny Barker's still looking for that first top 10 of the season. As you're seeing, Pro Guard to the inside, Rob Lowe on the outside groove. This is for 19th position. They're still a little ways back from the lucky dog spot where Brett Hahn runs in 16th place. We got in chat, where's Jeff Pogo today? I don't know where Jeff is today. We've missed him the last couple of weeks. We'd love to see Jeff back out on track as soon as possible. And here's Tim Rogers, who brought out the caution. Cold tires woes hitting the 81. And Zach runs 25th, 2 laps down. It's got to be a hard feeling knowing you're the reason that ended that long green flag run, and just from such a simple mistake.
Oh, no doubt. That is so easy to make that mistake. Very, very easy to do. And he kind of, spun down into the grass. I was surprised that we got the yellow. I think it was just the way the angle of it where he was kind of forced back up towards the track. But, yeah, man, that was tough for him. And he's trapped now 2 laps down. He's got to make a lot out of this. So we'll see what he can do as we ride on board with this 88 of Kevin Roy. And Roy right now, 21st, Sam, and he's got to be fighting for that lucky dog as Brett Hahn, the 16th place car, is going off in the 1. So a little ways up the road, of course, from Roy here. But right now, still plenty to race for because there's about 5 or 6 cars ahead of him a lap down. So plenty of positions available.
Brett Hahn currently leading those that are 1 lap down. The first driver, if there was a caution and he's not involved, would get the lucky dog spot. Hahn was running near 6th and 5th position before the pit cycle started to open up for the 71 team, and it's got to be a tough pill to swallow, knowing I should be up there challenging with Josh Parker, Mike Kelly, but instead I'm fighting to hope that I get the lap back if possible. Here's the 01 of Jameson Heath, who runs in 15th position, the 01 debut race. Not a bad position. I mean, if you've been able to stay on the lead lap, took the gutsy call to save your tires, and were able to stay on the lead lap before that yellow flag came out, not a bad day at all. As see where some of these other drivers run, but I kind of want to bounce up to that 3rd place battle. Josh Parker, Isaiah Sutherland starting to get side by side, and just ahead of them is our top 2 that are trying to find their own battle if possible, but Parker trying to make the move on Sutherland.
Impressive from Parker, man. He's up to 3rd here now, and he has just continually moved his way through the field as now Sutherland cuts back to the inside to try to have an opportunity to do the crossover maneuver and go make a little contact there on the exit, but it's just going to slow the 74 up, and now the 26 up to 3rd, and Josh Parker in good position here now. He's going to be looking for a podium and possibly to run down our leaders.
A good day for the 26 right now with his return back to racing action here in the 802 Next Gen Elite Series. It's been awesome to see a lot of drivers signing up to race for next week. We weren't able to add a lot of those new guys that were trying to make a last-second at it near this evening. It's hard for admins to have the free time. Again, iRacing is not a lot of drivers' main, they've got work to do before you hop into the sim. Sometimes you're not able to get right to the sim and add drivers so late, but excited to see some of the names that want to join in for next week, which will be at New Hampshire. Zach, that is still going to be a track that's going to be tough for this vehicle, especially with the way that we've seen how everyone's using each other up here tonight at Richmond. Expect to see a similar thing next week in New Hampshire.
New Hampshire's going to be very interesting for sure. I spent a few laps around there myself recently in the next gen, and it is wild. The groove moves all over the racetrack. You're going to have drivers on the apron, drivers outside the black asphalt way up the top of the fourth lane. It's going to be really, really fun to watch, and definitely a lot of possibilities that could happen.
Find your comfort zone and hope it's the right place to be, as seeing a couple of drivers side by side trying to make some passes. There's David Glass, the Red Bull on the outside roof, currently running pretty deep in the field, but trying their best to continue to survive the evening. Looking at some of the other battles that are happening throughout the track, starting to see a lot of single file racing. And Zach, this is a good sign on drivers calming down, you could say, but that just means the passing opportunities are fading away and are practically gone at this moment in time.
I'd have to agree with you. Yeah, the longer you go into the run, it gets really, really tough sometimes to make the passes. You just kind of get stuck with overheated tires. And look, I mean, right here we're riding on board. You got Kevin D. Brown, who is right in front of Jamison Heath. And the big thing between these two differences is about 2 laps difference only. But when you're Heath, you're right up in that dirty air of the car, and it just starts to overheat, overwork the tires that much more. And that's why passing just becomes difficult. So you'll see the 01 in the corners. He's going to try to jump out to the outside to get any type of air, and he's actually doing a really good job. He'll be side by side with him here.
Doing a good job, Heath, on the outer groove. 01 trying to get by Kevin D. Brown. Kevin D. Brown's been looking very strong and stout in the way that he's been passing drivers, but on this run, not going to be the case as he gets moved to the side. Well, here's another couple of good battles are happening inside of our top 10 as the 5 Dr. Pepper Machine and Michael Wolf been having a good back and forth with Johnny Barker, as well as seeing the 82 and Scott Simley all involved with the mix. They were side by side for the last couple of laps, finally getting in line, but it's Wolf and Barker. There are 2 different ways they're entering and exiting 3 and 4. It's just continuing to just glimpse a picture of maybe there's a fight still looming for who can grab 9th place.
That's for sure. I mean, there's a lot of opportunity available still for a lot of these guys, and of course, you got Brett Hahn there, who is a lap down. He's unfortunately kind of stuck here just hoping for something. If you're Hahn, you really want to see that caution come up before the likes of Mark Whitley could get to the next car that's on the lead lap, last car on the lead lap, which is Kevin D. Brown, which is still, I will say, a decent bit down the racetrack. It's about a straightaway, so I would say it's got a good bit of time, but for Hahn, he is definitely counting that time, because also pit stops are going to be looming soon.
They will be looming soon, but also the battle that's happening for 4th and 5th place. Isaiah Sutherland falling backwards. Here's the battle for 2nd, Angel and Parker. And what's enabling these passes up front is lap traffic. A difference on tires on the way that you've been approaching it, but lap traffic has really either been helping a group or hurting a group, and Sutherland makes contact with a driver behind and just fighting for everything in its glass off the nose of the 74. And that is the caution if you're Brett Hahn that you were looking for. And that yellow is going to shake things up here late, because now this puts us in a shootout. There's no worry really about tires from here on out. It's use your set and get ready to race it to the end.
I see Mike Kelly there. He got around Sutherland up to 4th. There's now Sutherland here. He's going to come up off the exit of the corner, and I think he's just going to catch that 87 in an awkward spot where he was clear, almost exiting, and then right as he exited the corner, he gets up alongside the 87, and unfortunately I don't think he reads that fast enough, and that causes him to get caught out by that incident. So tough break for Glass there going around, maybe a little bit of damage for Sutherland, but this has pretty much happened in the window to make up to the end of this race.
You also saw the glimpse of Eden Tataro and the 24 get hit into the outside wall. They've called it an evening after the contact that was glimpsed there. But here's what brings out our second caution of the day as we're under our BG Graphics caution flag. 87 and David Glass right into the outside. And Glass has been used up a couple of times here this evening, but just an awkward timing. Sutherland clips the 87, spins him around, and that it will bring out the yellow. Apologies immediately over the radio. But the caution, I mean, you hate to see it for Sutherland that the yellow came out, but honestly, the way he was losing ground to his competition, a caution was needed badly for the 74 to have another chance to fight with these front runners.
Yeah, this has changed up the landscape right now here with this yellow flag. So let's see how this all shakes out. Of course, some people taking the wave. They're going to be happy that this is played out. Brett Hahn, he's going to get that lucky dog. He is going to be excited for sure to be back on the lead lap because we've seen the speed he's had all night. He should be able to climb his way statistically back forward, but he will start the end of that longest line by being that lucky dog position. But yeah, Sam, this is definitely set us up for something interesting here and brought some people back into it. You know, like some Mike Kelly, he's now going to have track position to restart with these guys again and not have to really charge through the field to use the tires up.
Yeah, a couple of drivers taking those wave arounds, going to be big for them. ProGuard, Lowell, Ritter, Banks all decided to take the wave around, be on older tires as well as be able to get onto the lead lap. But with us being under this caution, I want to say thank you to G-Stone Motors. Again, G-Stone Motors in the Middlebury, Vermont area. If you want to check them out, whether you're looking for a work-ready truck or performance vehicle, trust the team that supports racing in the Northeast for generations. Go visit G-Stone Motors again in the Middlebury, Vermont area today, where you're not just a customer, you're family. We also want to say thank you to BG Graphics. BG Graphics, go find them on Facebook. Go to facebook.com/BG Graphics with 2 X's. You can see them as our BG Graphics caution currently on screen. And if you let them know that you heard about BG Graphics here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting, you can find yourself with 10% off on your next order. Lastly, we want to say also thank you to the 802 iRacing League podcast. If you're wanting to listen in about all the amazing leagues the 802 performs throughout the week, well, you can get your one-stop shop at the 802 iRacing League podcast. It's a once-a-week podcast hosted by Rob Lowell and Brandon Grand, who are going to be giving you the information. And they also bring in special guests where you can listen in on the conversation about all the races that happen throughout the week. You can listen in on those podcasts live on YouTube or on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Amazon Music. Again, you can go listen live on the 802 iRacing League podcast on their YouTube channel. Pace car is off. It's time for racing action. Mark Whitley, Josh Parker, and the rest of the field just got some freshies, and it's time to race it out as we're back to green flag action for the Capital City 180 here tonight.
Great start there from Whitley. He's able to get out ahead of that field, but look at this. The Angels under attack right now as Josh Parker has gone
trouble
to
in the
the
back.
outside.
That's going to be Parker as well as Wolf going around. No yellow thrown until now. And the reasoning why, Zach, you talked about restarts, trying to be aggressive. How about trying to go 4 wide into turn 1? And 2 drivers did not make it off the exit of turn 2.
Man, oh man, Chad Coleman, super aggressive move down into 1 there, and unfortunately, it ended up being the end of the short end of the stick there for the 6 of Johnny Barker and the 5 of Michael Wolf, who were having some excellent races there, man, but they just unfortunately came to contact. So we'll see this here again. We'll start to see Barker right there on the outside, but look at Coleman. He's already jumping to the inside almost immediately off the get-go. You see the 34 Tucker on the outside and 4 wide here for the moment. They make it work for the time being, but as that happens, the 5 starts to squeeze up. The 6 is there. The 34 is on his door. Nowhere to go for them.
And really, it all came down to Michael Wolf just not having a good launch for himself that kind of caused them to go 4 wide. But also Tucker had an incredible start. Coleman just went with the gutsy move. I mean, this is a wild restart all around. As Barker on the outside, really, it is a bizarre one from behind. Just watching the 34 and the way that he just closes in the gap and immediately darts to the outside. And then the 2 drivers on the inner groove. It was all about, do you feel like being risky? And they certainly were.
This It's tough for Barker. He's wrong place, wrong time, gets caught up in it, and he's going to go head first into that inside wall. So a heavy hit for him. He's going to have to get some damage repairs, but this will reset us and re-rack us up. But, man, we just saw that's the first big move on the restart, and that's what can happen here at Richmond, Sam, as you go down to 1. It's inviting for that move.
And from here on out, it's just going to get more and more risky as Kevin D. Brown now going to be back on the lead lap. We've given us 19 drivers on the lead lap. Also a little bit of damage repair for the 93 that was needed. But each lap now, every restart, this is going to get worse. I think the league as a whole had a fantastic long green flag run. Unfortunate on the 2 cautions that came out. But I think this is about to get very ugly on drivers' aggressions being more important than maybe survivability from here on out, because there is some big points that are on the line as we've got our admin box 1 to green coming up.
Yeah, the big points are definitely on the line here for sure. I mean, you can have that huge swing, and it can, next thing you know, it can be from leading this race to being out of this race. And with this many cars on the lead lap, I mean, you could quickly be outside the top 20. So just got to focus in here and get to the end of this thing. But that's tough to say when you're commentating, or easy to say when you're up here in the commentator booth, but hard to say when you're in the driver's seat.
Hey, if you're Brentley and the Old Tar Harpoons Designs team out there, you're feeling comfortable. Your 2 drivers are 1-2, and that's the safest place to be. As the pace car pulls off, it's time for us to get back to green flag action. The Capital City 180 from Richmond Raceway is back underway. A little bit of a clog up further on back, but up front, great launch for our top 15 drivers. And it's Mark Whitley, big strong run, but Josh Parker does not want to just wait in third, but a big slide for the 26. Good save for Parker as they head down to 3.
That was a great save, Sam. It really, really was. So good job by Parker there to gather it up. Now he's going to have Kelly in the 22 trying to fire to his inside, and he's immediately going to look there. But now the 26 covers it off because he's going to look to the inside of the 79. So great aggressive racing going on here early as Whitley is trying to run away.
Big risk, big rewards, but is it worth it every time here tonight? 50 laps to go. That'll be 49 with across the line. A couple of drivers blinking in and out, but that's going to be Grant Humphrey on the outside. But caution flag is thrown, and it's trouble for Brett Hahn in the 71 machine.
Everybody's starting to push a little bit harder, and those little small issues starting to pop up, especially on these restarts. Everybody knows the battle is that important. You go to get a little bit more, and again, kind of similar to what we've seen all night. The exit of 4 has been treacherous for these cars, and it pops up again for Brett Hahn. And I tell you, not too far behind them, Rob Lowell was almost doing the same thing. So the 71 and the 21 were both sliding off of 4, but unfortunately for the 71, he ends up in the grass.
Brentley, us jinxing you guys? We would never intentionally put a commentator curse on any team or specific driver ever. Intentionally. Or accidentally? Absolutely. As there's Brett Hahn going for the big slide for the 71. Getting into the dirt, grabbing a little bit of gravel. I don't know where he found the gravel, but he found some dirt that he's going to put on the track, and that will reset us once again. And Zach, with us having these quick bursts of cautions, I know no one's really thinking about pitting now, but we did see that having a better set of tires is an advantage to have based off of just pure speed. I'm curious if any of these front runners, there's a lap that they're thinking, hey, if there is a caution, I might pit at that zone just to use potentially my last set of tires.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I was going to go is like, you know, we got one left technically for majority of the field, I would say, unless someone out there has used all 4 of them up. I would say they should have at least most of the front runners have one set here in pit road. So I think you're going to have that in your back pocket, so to say. You know, if we get a run here, say 20 laps, 20 green flag laps or so, and we get to like 150, I think you could definitely pull the trigger. But the one thing that would concern me is you don't want to pull the trigger if you have the restart too far back. We've seen so far tonight, it is really, really tough getting through, and even new tires, I think you're going to have somewhat of an issue getting through the field in a timely fashion.
As we get ready to go back to green flag action, waiting for that 1 to go, admin box to pop up. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we will get ready for your racing action as we're going to go side by side. You won't miss a thing. We'll be back with more 802 Next Gen Elite Series right after this.
Admin Box is built by iRacers for iRacers for use in league and hosted races.
Connected to iRacing simulation.
The goal? To make race control as easy as possible. Each admin box features pre-programmed commands, no key binding. Get your discount code and go to adminbox.com.
Motorsports and racing cars is a big part of the heritage here at G-Stone Motors. Todd and I have been racing each other for years. I love the one-on-one competition. When it comes bottom line, we're all behind each other and support each other with everything we do. I think that says a lot about our company's culture. I'm Vince Quinville, Service Manager at G-Stone Motors.
G-Stone Motors, your family Ford dealership, Route 7 South, Middlebury, Vermont.
And we are back to green flag action. We apologize on the not seeing the restart there. Fun of technology. Sometimes you feel like you got everything set up and ready when you go live, and sometimes it's not always working 100%. Mark Whitley, Angel, gonna be the 1-2, but not for long because Josh Parker wants to fight to the inside. Mike Kelly trying to follow in suit for second place, and gotta say, Zach, these front runners, they're all trying to just chase down Mark Whitley, but Angel could not stop Parker. That 26 is on a mission.
It is, man. Parker has been making moves coming through the field from 28th up to second. One more to get to the golden position of number one. He's going to have a tough time, though. This Mark Whitley, the final boss, so to say, here in that 77, is going to be waiting for him.
The points leader coming into the night. Mark Whitley, just one win, looking for a chance to get it back into victory lane for the second time this season. But Josh Parker, can he find his way into victory lane? What a storyline that could be for himself. A driver that has only been here 5 times, 3 top 5s, 3 top 10s. No win just yet. Seeing a couple of other drivers that are trying to make their charge into the top 5 if possible. We got Tanner in the 82, holding back Coleman. Also Tucker. Tucker's trying to make his way forward in the 34 after the big bold move. Same for the 8 of Coleman. But they're still trapped and stuck where they're at. The battle for 9th and 10th also a good joy as Heath and Simley continue to stay side by side.
Yeah, that's going to be Jamison Heath there trying to move his way into the top 9. So great run for him, but look at Brandon T. Banks. He's under threat.
No.
Is this going to be contact?
Woo, big save for himself. Locking it down. Hits the brakes for a tad bit to straighten that car out. As Ritter, big diving move by the 61. Just a little bit overzealous, but luckily you got the 55 holding on strong. Also Kevin D. Brown trying to sneak his way through. Zach, big thing for Kevin D. Brown. He pitted under this last yellow. Took tires, got some damage repair. Kevin D. Brown's trying to get him back where he was earlier in the race. Remember, he was the driver that was kind of the spearhead that helped Parker get to where he was at on those carving through the field early in this race. The 93's got some more work to get up there as they're less than 40 laps to go here tonight.
Definitely so, and I watched the lap times throughout majority of the run for a lot of these guys. If Brown would have been, track position-wise up front, he would have been a top 3, top 5 car, no doubt in my mind. So if he can get some track position, don't count the 93 out. It's just a problem for him. Time is running out with the 61 of Ritter and the 55 of Banks here battling.
Battling back with one another is Ritter with a little bit of a door bang. Trying to give an opening, but Kevin D. Brown just nowhere to go for himself. Now able to find a way to the outside. We'll see if Ritter is able to hold for this position. Brown's able to work it on the outside and get on through, and it looks like it will be Brown. Great run for himself. Now trying to set up for a 2-for-1 if possible, but Ritter, big diving move. Those brakes are on fire for the 61. Every time into turn 3, just barreling down. And that's what a few drivers have been dealing with on the entry of turn 3. Just a lot of speed, and the brakes are on fire every time they go in there.
Yeah, and Ritter there again, big slide. Now this is going to let Larava Lowell and the 21 come up to his back bumper. Same for them 5 of Michael Wolf. And this is for a top 15 right now on the racetrack. So these guys really going at it here in the final phases of this race.
Again, Rob still looking for a good finish for himself. 14th in points, just 1 win, 1 top 5, 1 top 10. That one good race has really catapulted him to stay inside of the top 15 for the chase. With a top 15 finish here tonight, I mean, that is just salvaging an evening where he did not qualify well and is trying to move on, as the 6 machine of Johnny Barker is sending his, he was exiting pit road after getting a lot of damage repair, but then gets a black flag for speeding too far, as the 01 and the 33 make a little bit of contact there at the exit of turn 4.
They were about to go to the next state over there, it seemed like, in turn 3 and 4, but luckily they keep it somewhat gathered up as Simile, he goes on about his business. The 01 now under attack from the 93 of Kevin D. Brown, and you'll have Grant Humphrey in the 48 right there behind him also. So it's old caution.
And it's the 11 of Chris Progard going around. And they exit turn 2. Not a safe place for the 11 machine, as he went for a big old slide trying to keep it off the inside wall, but looks like these tires just on the throttle a little bit too soon. Might have gotten some help. Let's see if there's a little bit of a tap there. The car just completely loose off the exit of the corner for Progard.
Yeah, it seemed like he slowed the center up a lot there. Got a little tap from the car that was behind him. Not sure what car.
That was the 99 of Jensen.
Yeah, 99 Jensen there. And I think you'll see it's going to be a little tap here. I don't think it's going to be nothing crazy, but he just kind of shoots off the nose of this car and then kind of loses it a little farther down the racetrack. And unfortunately, like you said, it's going to bring the yellow out. And now the question is, how much does pit road happen? There definitely was a little busy contact.
Oh, there's the contact, but pit road is extremely busy. Only our top 3 drivers being Mark Whitley, Christian Angel, Grant Humphrey, staying out on 31 lap old tires, while Josh Parker, Mike Kelly, Heath, Coleman, also Sutherland, they all hit pit road. It's tires and fuel. I'm looking though at Heath. I need to relook at his pit stop, because he was only in there for 6 seconds. I don't know if it was a 2-tire stop or just fuel, and it was just 2 tires. Again, getting used to the new number counts. We got to look for 2 tires or 4.
Yeah, that's going to be around the range. About 6.5 is what we're looking at for about 2 tire stops. He took 2 right sides. I went back and made sure of that. But yeah, the biggest thing here, Sam, I'm looking at is, man, wow, this is played into the hands of Josh Parker, Mike Kelly, and the likes of these other drivers, because looking at lap times wise, Mark Whitley there 22 flat. Now we can run a 22.29 off the start of the run. It looks like on tires, that's about what Parker and Whitley have done so far this race. So that tells me there's going to be some difference in lap time here. Whitley's going to have his hands full. Now, when we take off, he will have a little bit of help from the tires cooling down during this caution phase. So I think a little bit of lap time will come back. But as those tires start to heat up to their normal temperature, you're going to see that 26, that 22, the 74, the 8. A lot of these guys on the 4 tires really start to make their charge through.
We still got ourselves plenty of racing action, but when the racing is over, don't worry, the show's not done just yet. We'll have the Riptide Radio post-race show after the drivers cross the line. We'll interview the top 3, talk about tonight's race, and get you ready for next week at New Hampshire. We love it if you guys, after the race is over, could hang out in the chat after the fact. We understand if you got to take off and go, but our top 3 sitting ducks, Whitley, Angel, Humphrey, how do you defend? And they're hoping to have a little bit of magic that we saw a couple of weeks ago with Johnny Wood Jr. having old tires defending over the old. Only problem, we got ourselves 26 laps to hold off the rest of the field. Let's see if you can do so. Already going to be 3 wide, battling down into turn number 1. And Kelly getting into the 01, getting into Coleman, and the rest of the field. Come on through as contact all around. They're still wrecking off of turn 2.
Wow, that is a parking lot there for a second. Down there off the exit at 2, and it all just broke loose there, heading off into 1, man, and it's just so simple to happen there. I think Kelly, I don't know if he got a shot from anybody. No, he went to block the 74 here and just gotten way too deep. Yeah, he got it way, way too deep.
In too deep, just contact all around. Rob Lowell able to sneak his way on the outside, same for Simley. But man, I know a couple of drivers late into the contact. But that's the type of wreck if you are Humphrey, Angel, Whitley, you needed a quick caution. Burn more laps. It allows the older tires to have a fighting chance later on. But here's going to be another look of it from further on back of David Glass, who got a little bit of a glimpse of this one as seeing smoke ahead and trying to find a way to woe down, but gets ran over from the back.
Tough ordeal there for Glass, and get it turned back around. But man, this is definitely helped the older tires, Sam. I gotta agree with you. This takes away laps. It also cools those tires down that much more for those leaders. So this is good. They keep that phase of them going like that. He'll have more opportunity to hold them off. The only thing I'm concerned, Josh Parker had no issues on that last restart. He jumped straight into third, had great grip. So be prepared. This 26 is going to be on the attack here straight from the drop of this next green flag.
And one driver will be out of this race after that incident. That's going to be Chris Progard, who got a little glimpse of running into Mike Kelly, broke the front end, and he is out of this running. Here's your race report if you're just joining us. 6 cautions have been thrown. We had a really good long green flag runs for the first about 3/4 of this race, where it was just a simple spin here and there. But recently, with the pressure of it's the end of the race, you got some fresh tires, you got to utilize them. We're starting to see the buildup of a few more cautions than some would like, but seeing the pass for the lead, it's been a tough one to be made. Mark Whitley made the pass on Tyler Ducharme back on lap 2. Ducharme basically waved the white flag, went high, gave the lead to the 77, and nobody else has had a chance to lead this race. It has been the Mark Whitley show all night long. But the problem is, he's on 31 lap older tires. Same for Angel, Grant Humphrey in the 48, the 97, the 79, the 77. Old tires, rest of the field, they've got either 4 freshies underneath them or they've got 2. And Josh Parker's been willing to be aggressive. Sutherland's been willing to be aggressive. It is about to ramp up. If you're just joining us now, it's the best time to be here because the show is about to begin. The field is stacked up. We're ready to see the chaos. Whitley, Angel, Harpoon Design's gonna be your front row, but can they stay there? Let's find out as we're closing in on 20 laps to go. Green flag is 180. Good launch up front, but watch out for third on back.
Let's see what Whitley can do here as he's going to cover off the inside from his teammate, but Josh Parker immediately looking to the outside of the 79. He's going to cut now back to the inside here down in the 3 and 4. Have to be patient. Let the temperature come up. Don't try to get too much here and lose the rear end. He does.
Oh,
hey, look, he's going to wreck it.
Gets a little bit of the gas into the 79, and around he goes from the driver that was hunting to now out of a chance to win this thing in a blink of an eye.
I feel like I just commentator cursed the guy, but I've seen it too many times. It's happened so much. It's happened to myself. Many drivers have felt this condition. Man, here we go right off the start of this instant replay. You can see he looked to the outside here in the 79. He's trying anything to get into that second position to have the fight for the lead. He dives to the inside here, and I knew he felt like he needed to get this done, but when he gasses it up here, you'll see in the center of that car is going to squirm right here late on exit, right there as it squats, and unfortunately, he's going to lose the rear end. He's going to go around and kiss all the track position by because he's gone to the back of the field.
And from potentially first win of the season for Parker to now, can he even get a top 15 is going to be the question. As from second place battle all the way down to 18th position. Zach, that's a tough pill to swallow. Parker going to be heading into pit road. Most likely going to get another set of tires, get back out there on track and see what he can rebound with. But this helps Mark Whitley, Angel, Humphrey. Now the 3 drivers that stayed out on 30-plus old tires are going to be your top 3 once again. But now you got some new threats behind you. You've got yourself Steve Tucker, Isaiah Sutherland, and he's still in the fight, even with a little bit of nose damage from the big wreck a couple of cautions ago. Kevin D. Brown in 6th. I mean, there are still some heavy hitters that are waiting behind our top 3 that we know are willing to gamble it all to go for a win.
They are, man. There's definitely some heavy hitters. I think for Whitley, this has been best case scenario with these quick yellows. And, of course, we saw Parker was almost even, if not a little bit quicker there than him before that previous run on even tires. So we know Parker would have gave him a good run for his money there on the little bit fresher tires. I think now Whitley has got to be able to perform on these restarts. He's got to be able to get the car going and just try to get out ahead and just not overwork his equipment. There's no reason for him to go drive out there to a 2-second lead. Just get out the front there and get consistent, because you know at some point possibly those 4 tires behind you, somebody will fire them up and get up to you. It's just going to be how can you defend them, how good is your defense, and what kind of tire do you have left to hold them back.
It looks like the teammates already kind of know where they want to line up for this upcoming restart. But, talking about some other drivers that are looking for potentially career days. You got Tanner Tellerico, who's coming in with debut race for the 802 Next Gen Elite Series. You got Eric Jensen trying to get a top 10 finish if possible. These are some good days for themselves. The 01 of Jameson Heath, not officially out of this race. He runs in 15th, even with all the damage that he has accrued over the second to last caution we just had. 01 still with a chance of a good finish. This is potentials of some drivers having some good recovery runs. Some drivers that are officially out of this thing. Progrard, Kelly, Ayers, as well as Barker, McDonald, Ducharme, and Sawsack. Everyone else up front, though, we got 15 laps. Is it 15 green laps? Do we need a couple of more yellows? Let's find out as we're back to green flag action. Whitley, Angel, great launch for themselves, but it's going to be seen the 74. Isaiah Sutherland. He's the driver that has been the aggressor for so many races. He won last week at Iowa. Can he get it done here tonight at Richmond as the Harpoon Design teammates get into turn number 3 and exit out of 4?
Oh, Humphrey up the track into Sutherland there a little bit. That's going to hold him up just a tiny bit as they head down into 1 and 2. Can Sutherland clear this 48? That is going to be critical for him. I think off the exit of 2 here, he should have a great run. He's up the 3rd now, and he has clear sight with the Harpoon Designs teammates.
Big contact from Tucker into the rear bumper of Grant Humphrey. Humphrey holds on for now. Angel trying to defend both lanes, but a little bit of dirty air on every portion of the track. Do not allow Sutherland to have a clean run for that nose to run wherever he wants, as you're going to be seeing the 82 Tanner trying to find a way to run on the outside. Simley as well. Kevin D. Brown into the mixture, but our top 3 trying to pull away as quickly as they can. And Zach, the cooling off of the tires, man, as it held Whitley and Angel, they're running pretty good lap times compared to those that have some fresh tires underneath them.
That's exactly what I was going to bring up, man. The cool down phase is immense. 22 flats is what they were running before we got on the longer green run we had there, before we had these rash of yellows here. Now 23 or 21:30, so about a 0.7 of a second pickup just from the cooling down phase of riding around at the pace speed around this racetrack. The tires have definitely come back to their own, but how long will they hold on for? Because again, they build up more tire pressure. They're definitely going to be a little bit more stiff when it comes to the overall heat build up here. It's just going to be how long can they hold them off. With coming to 10 to go here, I think Whitley's still got a chance to do this for sure.
He certainly does, but Isaiah Sutherland, with 12 laps to go, made his first attempt to get by Angel, and it almost took out the 79. The second attempt is about to be brewing, but you only have maybe 2-3 opportunities. One jump to the inside, and it's taken Sutherland 3 laps to recover for even a second chance to go for a pass. You are limited on the amount of attempts that you have right now. Sutherland bouncing the outer groove, recognizing it is go time. You gotta use your tires, and we're starting to now see the difference of a 30-lap difference between Sutherland and Angel. Whitley's on the same set of tires as Angel. He's a sitting duck. If Sutherland makes the pass now, and he finally completes it, here we go. It's the dash. It's 8 laps to go from Richmond.
That it is, 8 laps to go. Whitley, though, still looking somewhat consistent out front. It's just going to be, can Sutherland find the time here down in the 3 and 4? He's already made a considerable amount, but Whitley drove it off in there. But it's the run off the corner that's better for Sutherland, is now with 7 laps to go. Sutherland within 0.2 of a second.
Mark Whitley, Isaiah Sutherland, these two drivers have raced against each other, not just in the 802 Next Gen Elite Series, in multiple different leagues. They've seen each other's playbooks on how they want to fight, how aggressive they're willing to be. But now, closing in with 6 laps to go, the fresher tires look to be the ultimate key for victory as Sutherland in the 74 looks to the outside group, but Whitley throws it up there as well, trying to put the dirty air to block off as much momentum as he can. But Sutherland tries to get to the back bumper. He tries to go to the outside. Zach, it's only 5 laps to go. Whitley's most likely going to get moved unless Sutherland finds the opening right now.
He's to the inside there. He's found the shorter distance around the front straightaway. Now, side by side through the center of the corner, will Whitley be able to have the power off the exit? He does a good job. They're dead even down the back straightaway, but I think 3 and 4, this is where Sutherland, if he's able to hold the car to the bottom and get the run off, he'll have the pass done. But Whitley, strong enough, they will fight alongside, but he's too loose.
Too loose, but gives a little bit of a shimmy to Sutherland. He has to back off for a quick moment in time. Whitley, shorter attempt, quicker apex point, trying to accelerate out, but the tires are too old. The opportunity is drifted away, and now all eyes are going to be set on Steve Tucker. What does the 34 have as Whitley moves to the side, lets Tucker on through? I thought he was for a second, and here we go, Zach. It might be the 34 versus the 74 on these final runs, but caution's out. Hahn goes around off the 4, and we will have an overtime attempt.
Wow, man. Yeah, this is going to be intense stuff now with Steve Tucker and Sutherland leading our front row. But let's go back on the freaky fast replay here and see exactly what happened here.
It's going to be the 21 of Rob Lowell and the 8 of Coleman that are going to be the 2 drivers that make contact, as they're going to be seeing a little bit of mixture happening for the field. I believe this could be a little bit after the fact. Yeah, they're already slowing down. Here's going to be the battle that's happening. 21-8. They're the main focus drivers of here on this upcoming run. Zach, I mean, you can see Coleman back there. He is sending it.
Oh, he was sending it for sure. Look to the inside of the 21 there for a moment, the 21 into the wall, and I think Coleman here diving up the inside, make contact with Lowell, spin him up the track, get a little bit more, and now Lowell trying to gather it up. You'll see Brett Hahn coming. He gets on the apron, and that's going to spin him out into the 88 of Kevin Roy. So, wow.
Then go back, then go to Hahn. Then you go to Hahn, and Hahn's going to get a little bit of extra clip there late of the 30 coming through, and will slam the rear bumper as he's already gone through with that incident. So that's what brings out our late caution. That's going to send us into our first overtime attempt of only 2, if needed, here this evening. So a little bit on the lower end, just 1 less overtime attempt than most leagues, but puts pressure on the field. A majority of the field's already used their last set of tires. Got to stuck with what you got. Whitley has to stay where he's at. If he decides to pit for tires, he will fall all the way back to 21st position.
Yeah, these guys have made their bed now. When it was just 3 of them that stayed out, there was really no extra pit stop that was coming for them, because you knew everybody else from this point is staying out. You were just going to lose too much track position with too short a time. Now, if you're Whitley, the biggest thing is get these tires cooled down under this restart and try to hang on to best what you can. I mean, his teammate of Angel is still in 4th here, so they're still holding 3rd and 4th on those older tires. They've done a good job there. I think for them, if anything, these front 2 get into it. You never know. The opportunity in the door might reopen itself for you.
Jinxed you, Brentley. This is just racing luck and the gamble that happens of tire lottery races. And you were on the wrong side of it. As Isaiah Sutherland, Tucker, going to be those front 2 drivers to see how they want to attempt this. Does somebody use the chrome horn for victory? We'll have to find out and see as we are in our first attempt at overtime. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. If this is your first time being involved with an iRacing overtime attempt, the way that it goes down, it's going to be a green-white checker. 2 laps to go when these drivers take the green. If we get a caution under this first lap, we will go into overtime attempt number 2. But if the drivers take the white flag, this race is official. It's all about who crosses the line. No yellow flag will be thrown at that point. So we'll see how the drivers want to attempt on their first to go in overtime of 2 if needed. The Capital City 180 is back underway. Sutherland, Tucker, equal footing on tires, and Tucker already thinking about ducking down low, trying to get in, and oh no, Tucker! Oh, Mark Whitley! Contact around! Driver spinning! Caution is not out till now! We're going overtime attempt number 2.
Oh man, that is the chaos I spoke of in our key moments about here on earlier in this race. And man, Tucker was going for it. He went to the bottom to cover off the 77 and got the shot from the 77 into the back of the 74, who did a great job there. But from there, I mean, all hell broke loose.
Here's going to be the look at it, the duck down low. I mean, I'm looking at Isaiah. He is on the brakes. He is making sure if he gets hit, he's going to be okay. Everyone else, that's a chain reaction of you're not surviving that chaos, and the frustration mounting up. Nobody given required damage flags, luckily, so they're not officially out of the race, but this was a bad one. Drivers just nowhere to go, and pile it in, see how many more dinks that you can get, more dents you can add on, and now it's going to be seeing Isaiah Sutherland, Christian Angel, Kevin D. Brown, Grant Humphrey going to be your top 4, with Brandon T. Banks in 5th, Ritter 6th, 7th is Michael Wolf, 8th we find ourselves with Tallarico, Scott Simley, and Josh Parker going to be your top 10. And Zach, you know, I've talked about the note for Mark Whitley. Usually it's the middle of the race where he finds that frustrating moment that his race kind of goes topsy-turvy, and it looks like it's the end of the race here tonight.
Yeah, that is heartbreaking for him, man. He drove a perfect race up to this point. He really did. And unfortunately, just strategy was going to catch him out. And it really, in the position of Whitley, there's nothing. It's so hard to make that call at his position when, you know, the people all pit behind you, because, again, you know, if he pits, what if everybody else stays out? And then he looks like a fool for, you know, coming down pit road and giving up all the track position. So he was kind of like in a lose-lose position there by being the leader in some of these late race strategy calls. And it's so tough when it just goes the wrong way for you like that, because, again, just a small incident, and the next thing you know, you're out of this thing.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are in overtime attempt number 2. This will be our final restart of this evening. It's a little bit different from the first attempt's rules. This race can end under yellow. If we get a caution under this first lap and we go back to green flag racing, these drivers will finish out the race where they were at the time of the yellow flag being thrown. But if we take the white flag, again, it is race to the end. This race will be official. And it's all about who can cross the line first, as we've got our admin box 1 to green. We're about to go to green flag action for our last restart of the evening. Zach, I throw it to you. Do we make it to the end of this race under green flag conditions, or are we ending under yellow?
I think we're going to get there. I think we're going to get to the checker flag, man. I really do. I think this restart we will do it. Just going to be a question of what happens, of course. You know, everybody should buckle up, because I guarantee you this is going to be a bumpy ride.
We got the A side of the tape, the B side of the tape. That's basically how this race has been. The first half, a lot of green flag racing, just a couple of cautions here and there. Second half, it's been a brawl, and it's time for the brawl to end for the Capital City 180. Last restart of the night. Will it end under yellow, or can we stay green? Isaiah Sutherland is gone. No one else is even close. You're going to have to find a way to run that 74 down, or do we go under yellow flag conditions? Off of turn number 2, it's going to be good. A little bit of trouble. Ritter goes around. Wolf goes around. Sutherland is a 2-time winner, as everyone else has to come to a halt. White flag is thrown. This race ends under yellow.
That it does. Sutherland going to get back-to-back victories. He's going to steal one here tonight, late in the going with a great strategy call, and he is going to be, I think, jubilant from that for sure, as he's going to come around here and most likely to take that checker flag. But yeah, man, congrats to him. Good job by Angel holding on to second with the old tires. Same for Humphrey back and forth. And what a drive for Kevin D. Brown up the third, who was, I mean, up and down night for him, so to say.
It certainly was. Your 802 iRacing League podcast. White flag was thrown, but the ultimate winner here tonight, Isaiah Sutherland in the 74, taking the victory. What a run for himself. Sutherland, the second driver to have 2 wins this season, and it's over our second overtime attempt. The tire lottery, some would say, lands in the feet of Sutherland there late. This has got to be heartbreaking if you're Josh Parker, who does climb back up to 8th place. But Zach, I mean, it was could have been Parker's race to win there late, but not the case. Instead, it goes to Sutherland.
But yeah, that's definitely how it could have been. But man, I tell you, he just made that simple mistake, and it just shows you when that win is on the cusp, you can just easily get a little too much and get a little greedy with that throttle, and that's what it was for him. But Sutherland, he was able to get it done here tonight, Sam, and he's going to be really grinning from ear to ear after this.
He certainly will be. I hope they all are able to stay with us. We'll be back right after this. We've got the Riptide Radio post-race show. We'll talk to our top 3, Isaiah Sutherland, Christian Angel, Kevin D. Brown, and get you prepared for next week's running of New Hampshire. We'll be back right after this for the Riptide Radio post-race show. Do you pit or do you not? And Sutherland decided to pit at the right time. That got him into victory lane after help of those late cautions, finding himself to be able to lead at the time of the final yellow. Congratulations to Isaiah Sutherland winning the Capital City 180 here tonight for the 802 Next Gen Elite Series. Race 10 in the books. Welcome to the Riptide Radio post-race show. We're happy for everyone that was sticking around, hanging out with us. Let's not waste any more time. Let's head down to Victory Lane to talk to the 74 of Isaiah Sutherland. Isaiah, you are the second driver to be a two-time winner this season. How are you feeling after this one? Because it looked like the tires lined up in the right spot.
Yeah, I'm just as shocked as you are. My hands are in the air, and I'm like, I have no idea. Just shaking my head. I got lucky. I was Richmond. I love Richmond, but like I've never just had that raw speed. And Mark, Christian, Josh Parker, the list goes on. 22, bunch of guys were so fast tonight, and I finally figured it out a little bit on lap 100, I think, with about 80 to go. Figured out how to enter turn 1. Because that's where I was losing all my time. And I could hang with them for like 15, 20 laps, and then they would just walk away from me. So I was just chilling and like, hey, I'm going to finish top 8 probably, fun race. But then the cautions came out. Big apologies to 87. Me and Mike were racing for 6th or 5th, and he may have been 2 or 3 laps down. And I don't know what happened, but coming off of 4, I just got tight and, touched him. So, but I apologize to him, and I hate that though. I just hate that, especially when we weren't in his race. But yeah, the cautions fell, and that last caution, Mark and Christian, they decided to stay out, and I was like, well, I mean, I'm a top 8, top 10 car maybe, so why not? And a whole lot of people came in and pitted too, so. I knew after that I might have a chance, but even then I thought Mark and them were just so quick that I don't know if there was going to be a difference in tires, but there was. So strategy kind of worked out again. Tires, basically tire management. We had 3 tires tonight, or 4, so it was a little bit easier to choose and pick and choose when to pit. But yeah, I'm just thankful because I am as shocked as everybody else. I wasn't expecting that.
Definitely a wild ending to your night, Isaiah, man, but congrats on another victory. That was impressive to watch there, man. I mean, we saw others on 4 tires have the issues with the cold tires on that restart and make the, make issues and make mistakes there. How hard was it not to like push too hard there early when you know you have a little bit of advantage of fresh tires, but you know also that those colder tires can bite you?
Yeah, it was very slick. So I figured I had Josh Parker out there in the 26, who I thought him and Mark and Christian were going to go at it, and I think Mike in the 22 was super quick too, and I believe those two had tires. I think, if I'm not mistaken, and so I knew it was go time. I think I restarted 6 on the inside, which I'm thankful I did that. And on that first restart, I got a good run and went ahead and took Mike 3 wide. Can't remember who was on the furthest outside, but I did the thing where like I was gonna stay in it 3 wide, but I realized it might be a better strategy to back out early. So that's why I backed out early. And I don't know if the 22 thought I was diving it in or what, but he washed up the track and I think accidentally, we're just all going for it at the end. But I knew when that happened, I didn't have as much competition on fresh tires, and Josh Parker, I think, made a little mistake there. So all those guys were gonna win it. Like I honestly thought any one of those top 5 or 6 could have won the race, and like maybe I could hang with them. But honestly, just avoiding the incidents, like you said, I knew that it was gonna be slick on new tires, so I always took it easy in 1 and 2. Like I just knew it was easily to spin out there. I didn't practice a lot, so I just took it easy and it paid off. So it was definitely scary though, but I'm thankful how everything worked out because it basically just kind of put the win in my lap. I just had to go out there and drive as hard as I could. And again, me and Mark, I know him from a long time ago, and I know how fast he is. So I knew it wasn't going to be the easiest. And even with his old tires, man, he raced me so hard and really good. So I appreciate that. It was really fun though, really fun.
Well, congratulations, Isaiah, on grabbing the second win for yourself this season. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any other shout outs.
Yeah, I always got to thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Love him so much. I thank my family that they always keep up and try to watch when they can and keep up with how I'm doing. Big shout out to my wife for letting me do this. She actually took off work today and just hung out with our son all day long, our little baby, and then she took care of him this evening, which is usually something I like to do. But I'm addicted to racing, and the older he gets, he'll understand that. So, but I'm thankful that she let me do it, and just love my family. Thankful for where I'm at, where I'm able to just hop on here on a Thursday night and race. There's so much going on in the world that I just gotta give thanks. So, big shout out to you guys on broadcasting and the league. Love the league. The admin is no nonsense. The drivers are all stinking good, and it's a lot of fun. No, hardly any drama or anything like that. So, big shout out to the league, everybody that tunes in and watches, and again, you guys. It's awesome to go back and watch.
Well, thank you for giving us a show to call. That's going to be your winner here tonight of the 74 of Isaiah Sutherland. Congratulations on the victory, Isaiah, and good luck next week in New Hampshire.
10-4. We'll see all them.
Well, from victory lane, we head down to second place to talk to the driver that really had to hold on for dear life at the end. We got Christian Angel with us. Christian, you had 30 lap older tires than majority of the field behind you. But yet you come away second at the end of the day. How are you feeling after the chaos there at the end?
I would have liked to be one spot better again this week. But that's how it is. I mean, I'll take a bunch of second place finishes over, win and then crashing the next week. So, I really thought more people would stay out there. But after I saw everybody pitted behind us, I didn't feel that bad on my tires. I figured there'd probably be a bunch of cautions. You guys know how short track races are. It keeps getting towards the end of the race, fresh tires like that. People are going to go for it on the restart. They're going to go 3 wide. They're going to shove their nose in there. They're going to shove somebody. So I was really just banking on a bunch of quick cautions like we got there, and it almost worked out until we had that quick little stint. Isaiah got to the lead, and then we had that chaos on the restart, and I barely missed it. So
Definitely still a great run, Christian, man. Yeah, you kept it up in the top 3 really for, I'd say, 100% of the night almost for you, showing a lot of pace. But, going back to that pit strategy call, how tough is it in that position of, you and your teammate Mark there are both sitting up front, how tough is it to make that call, in the lead to give up track position possibly to pit?
I mean, when you're the top 2 cars like that and you've been dominating majority of the night, everyone's going to do the opposite of what you do, right? I feel like if me and Mark pit there, I bet you probably see most people stay out. So, it's really like, what do you do there? It's a 50-50 shot, right? When you're that fast and people have to do the opposite of you to beat you. That's just racing sometimes. That's how it works. If you can't beat somebody, you got to try to do something off strategy. We see it all the time in the Cup Series in real life, right? You see guys like Joey Logano and Paul Wolfe beat guys purely because they don't have the pure pace to beat the guys that are dominating the race, but they find strategy to be able to do something different and get them that track position. So that's just racing sometimes, damned if you do, damned if you don't type deal. And, thankfully it worked out for me. It almost worked out for Mark too, up until that last restart where he got taken out.
Well, we still have another short track in this 3-race short track split that we got. We're heading to New Hampshire. Zach and I have been talking about it. Whether these cars have looked semi out of control with the looseness at times. What's the comfortability knowing you're headed to New Hampshire next week?
I'm not a big fan of New Hampshire. I know Mark loves it. That's actually Mark's probably favorite track and best track. So it's good that I have him as a teammate. I normally rely on him when we go to New Hampshire because of how good he is. But yeah, these cars at New Hampshire are very much not stable at all. So it's going to be interesting to see how this works out there. It's also just really tough to pass at New Hampshire, I feel like, just because of that looseness that you feel like. Richmond's loose, but it's, much more stable than what New Hampshire is. So we'll see what happens next week. We could have a very clean race. We could have a million cautions. Who knows? Nobody really knows. That's the fun part about racing, I guess. Could go green all the way, could not. So we'll see what happens, but we got a good field of drivers in here, a lot of guys who give respect. Honestly, this race went a whole lot better than I thought. Most leagues I've raced in at Richmond, there's a lot of cautions, guys not giving and taking. I've seen a lot of give and take, especially up front. I know at one point, I think it was the 26. Yeah, Josh got loose. He could have easily just taken me out, used me up, put me in the wall. But he didn't, and we raced with respect. And, that's what I appreciate. And what I've dealt with a lot so far in this league is a lot of the guys are showing respect to each other.
Well, it has been a pleasure to watch all that respect out on track and the show that you guys give us each and every week. But before we let you go, Christian, the floor is now yours for any other shout-outs.
As always, I want to thank Harpoon Design and Brantley. Brantley actually whipped me up a new paint for tonight, so that was really nice to get a top 3 finish with the new paint scheme. If you need a paint scheme, go to harpoondesign.com. He's got a form that you can fill out to get you a car painted. Best painter on iRacing by far. You're not going to find anybody better. Shout out to Daryl for spotting for me tonight. As always, Daryl's always doing a great job, giving me, where people are running, my lap times, kind of what I'm doing, if I'm losing pace. And obviously Vector. Shout out Vector. He didn't think I shouted him out last week, but I did. Vector, I love you. And that's all I got. And you guys, obviously, in the broadcast, like every other week, I tell you guys do a great job. You guys put on an amazing broadcast.
Hey, it helps when you guys give us a good show. Thank you for all the amazing racing tonight, Christian. Congratulations on second, and good luck next week in New Hampshire.
Thank you, guys.
As we move from second place, we get down to third to talk to probably one of the drivers that had the weirdest night, and a probable night that came away with the top 3 at the end of the evening. We got Kevin D. Brown with us. Kevin, third place. When you were halfway, that midway caution came out, you were a lap down, trying to find a way forward. Did you think third was even possible at that point?
I was really hoping the caution would come out. We actually, when we pitted there under the green flag, I actually messed up and kind of hit the inside wall coming to pits because I had the brake so low. So I had damage from then on, and I've been struggling the whole race with it. But luckily, like I said, the cautions fell our way and got lucky enough for third.
Definitely a good job to drive up there to third at the end, man. Like you said, dealt with that damage. But up to that point, you were doing a really good job of moving through a field at a really tough track to pass. Take us through that first run because, it took a while, but you definitely made a lot of moves through the field and were the best, one of the biggest movers through that first portion of the race.
Yeah, we met all my teammates, me, Chad, and Josh. We all messed up in qualifying. I think we both all of us spun out twice. So they put us in the back, and we were making time, but it's just so hard to pass here. And then finally, when you get, someone holds you up for a good 5-10 laps, you used up your tires. Josh definitely had the best tires there at the end. I think he said he was probably 20% more better than we were. So he was coming. But yeah, it's just really hard to pass here.
It certainly looked that way throughout tonight on you trying to make passes. But hey, the one way that you have made passes are in points. You're currently at the cutoff line, 15th. Kevin, how do you want to carry this momentum on into the future races? We know each and every week you are one of the top 5 fastest guys out on track. We got New Hampshire next, then Daytona, Darlington, the next 3 on the schedule. How are you going to be trying to attack these upcoming tracks?
We're just going to keep going for it. I mean, I'm glad I'm in the points now. We've been trying to do that for the past couple weeks. I know I missed the first couple of races, but hopefully we'll have speed at New Hampshire. I love New Hampshire personally, so that's one of my favorite tracks. So I'm expecting to have speed, but you never know.
That's very true. You never know. As congratulations on your 3rd place finish here tonight, Kevin. Before we let you go, though, the floor is now yours for any other shout-outs.
Yeah, of course. Wesley for painting the beautiful paint scheme, WBD Diecast. Check him out on Instagram. You guys for putting on a beautiful show. I can't wait to go watch it later, probably tomorrow. And yeah, Rob for inviting me to the league and 802.
Well, thank you for giving us a show to call. It certainly was an eventful one here tonight, Kevin. Congratulations on 3rd and making it into the top 15 of points so far, and good luck next week.
Thanks, guys.
As that will finish up our interviews here this evening. It was like I said, right before that last restart, it was kind of a tale of 2 tapes. You had one side clean and green with maybe a couple of cautions here and there, had some green flag pit stops, to then the second half. A lot of wrecks. We needed some overtime, and we finished under yellow. As we take a look at our unofficial results, some drivers are going to be upset. Some drivers are going to be just saying, you know what, that's just short track racing. At the end of the day, Isaiah Sutherland finding his way with the best tires, best positioning, and victory lane. Calling the name of the 74, the 2nd driver this season with 2 wins, tying with Tyler Ducharme. 2nd place, we find Christian Angel, who continues to find 2nd place finishes and being in the podium. Kevin D. Brown going to be finishing in 3rd. Grant Humphrey, what a run for himself. Similar tires as Angel. 30-lap difference, and comes away with a top 5 finish. Brandon Banks going to be taking 5th place, with seeing Tanner Tellerico going to be taking 6th in the 82. Scott Simley 7th. 8th goes to Josh Parker. What a recovery run for that machine. Out of the big slide, able to move on up to 8th position. Jamison Heath will finish in 9th, and finishing our top 10, it's the 81 of Tim Rogers. What a run for that 81 team to get a top 10 at the end of the day.
Yeah, at one point he was a couple laps down, so shout out to him. And also Eric Jensen in the 99, great run for him in 11th. Got to give him a shout out. But one of the things that sticks out to me most, in 20th, Mark Whitley. What a dominating performance the 77 was having tonight, and unfortunately it's going to end up just inside the top 20 and just not where he's going to want to be for sure after the run he had here at Richmond. So tough break for him. As we go through the rest of the list, Mike Kelly back there in 29th, I look for him. He was also involved in a late race, incidents there, and just didn't have the ending to his night. And then also Tyler Ducharme, our pole setter, back in 32nd, had an issue there with the lap car, and he had it quickly end his night.
Night over and done. A tough one overall for some of these drivers to take in. But it's Mark Whitley who, Zach, you talk about dominance. He led over 170 laps of our 180 plus that we had here tonight. Crazy to see that dominance, but not even a top 10 to be served. But we got more racing action next week, as we will be seeing the 802 Next Gen Elite Racing drivers heading on over to New Hampshire. The 1 mile course, flat. It's going to be barely any banking. These guys might be using each other up as well as using the track completely up at every level of the course. Going to be a wild one overall, but we can't wait to give you some of that racing action. We also, before we call it an evening, want to say thank you to the sponsors of the 802 Next Gen Elite Series. We want to say thank you to G-Stone Motors, BG Graphics, the 802 iRacing League podcast, as well as the Admin Box and Riptide Radio for sponsoring our post-race show. Thank you to all the amazing sponsors that have hopped on board for this season. It's it's been a wild one, Zach. I mean, overall, we've seen a lot of highs and lows, but tonight certainly had the most of difference from the start of the race to the end.
No doubt. Yeah, that was a wild race. I mean, you know, we had a lot of green flag action and just a late rash of a little bit of yellows there that kind of shook things up strategy-wise. And next thing you know, we go from the driver dominating the race to him not being in position to possibly win it anymore. And it really turned the race upside down there in those final 30 laps.
Really did just turn around. But as we are closing in on the final stages of the regular season, we got ourselves 5 races left. Who can be inside of the top 15? We'll have to wait and see, but can't wait to see how next week will run for us. But for tonight, we want to say thank you to everyone that was hopping on board watching live, and for everyone that watches after the fact. We appreciate everyone coming back later on to see how the 802 Next Gen Elite Series ran. But for those that are watching live, for myself, Sam Dyer, for also Zach Hall and Robert Moyer Jr., thank you to everyone else at Freaky Fast Broadcasting that helps everything run the way that it does in the background. We appreciate everyone hanging out with us on a Thursday night. It's been a pleasure to give you the call here from Richmond, but we'll be back next week for New Hampshire. Don't want to miss out for that one, but if you cannot wait until then, well, don't you worry. We got more chaos, more madness Monday nights. The Trinity Racing League after they're running last week. Lots of penalties have been given out. Lots of tempers are still flaring. And you don't want to miss any of that madness, because that will be our next Freaky Fast broadcast.
I was standing, staying still, never said what I feel, and every time I took the blame, carried all this quiet shame. Cause all the pressure in my chest, I've gotta fight to catch my breath, when every step still feels the same, trying not to break. Where do I go from here? Maybe I'll disappear. If I don't try, I'll never know. I'm waiting on you. Where do I go from here? There will be no more tears. Kill the doubt, feed the fire, hear the voice inside. Up, it's my turn this time. They took a shot, now I want mine. You fall, I rise, I take the wheel. So this is how it feels. Where do I go from here?